Naruto meets a strange snake-like man. Later that night he encounters a deranged drunk man who stabs Naruto in his eyes. The snake man rescues him before the deranged drunk can finish the job. He even offers to try and help give Naruto his eyes back. He does, but Naruto can no longer see colors. A month or so afterwards he starts seeing shimmers that soon develop into people. Dead. The next day he woke up and got dressed in his full equipment. As he ate breakfast Hashirama informed him of how his bell test went down, but he had used his because the genin he had been given were all friends with each other and he wanted to test if they would put their friendship in front of their ninja career. Naruto made his way to the training field and saw that Sasuke and Sakura already waiting. "Hey guys, so did you eat breakfast, or nah?" he questioned. "Of course I didn't eat breakfast," Kakashi-sensei said to not eat. Sakura stated. Sasuke simply nodded his agreement with Sakura. He only suggested that we don't eat. "I would much rather be fully energized for whatever he throws at us than to be starving and distracted," Naruto told them. "With that being said, and since we can't expect to wait for another few hours, would you guys like some food? I have quite a few different options: ramen, inarizushi, bakuden, some barbecue." He listed of some of the food he had. Sakura wrinkled her nose. "Do you have anything healthy?" "Well, I have some salad. I also have some rice," he said, thinking over his food items. He tended not to eat it much, but it was something Jiraiya forced him to eat occasionally. "I'll take the salad," Sakura finally said as her stomach rumbled. Sasuke nodded his agreement. Naruto pulled out his food scroll and opened it up. He pulled out 2 sets of chopsticks from one of the seals and handed them over. "So all you have to do is dip the chopstick into the seal to pull out some food," Naruto said, demonstrating as he pulled out a bit of rice from that seal. "Feel free to eat anything in the seal." The two stared at the scroll in shock. Hesitantly Sakura dipped her chopsticks into the seal, labeled salad, and pulled out a few leaves and a tomato. She ate it then blinked. "This is good. Do you have any dressings?" "Only ranch and balsamic vinegar," Naruto answered, pointing at the 2 seals. He unsealed a bowl. "Feel free to fill it up with salad and then pour the dressing onto it," he said, unsealing the ranch bottle. Sasuke was still eating directly from the seal, though Naruto noticed that more often than not he had tomatoes in his chopsticks. Sakura filled the bowl up halfway before pouring some ranch on it. "Where did you get this scroll? This is unlike any other preserving scrolls I've seen," Sasuke asked. "I made it. I'm a bit of a seal user. I made this last year when I wanted to always have popcorn on hand," he mentioned. Sasuke just nodded. They continued eating for a little bit before they finished. "Good, now can we discuss what we are going to do?" "What do you mean?" "Well, Kaka-sensei said that it was a survival exercise." "Yeah, which means he's going to put us through a test where either our skills will be tested, or our actual survival skills and how well we will be able to survive from having to forage for food and stuff. Since I doubt it's the second one, he is probably going to be testing our skills, so I'll just show him that I'm skilled enough and then I'll pass," Sasuke retorted with a frown. "Do you think you're strong enough to beat a Junin?" Naruto asked. Sasuke grunted. "I don't know how he plans on testing our skills, but if we 3 combine our skill, then we're more likely to pass the test than if we each try to do it individually." "I mean, we were made into a team for a reason," Naruto asked. Sakura gave a nod. "Of course we were made onto team. All ninjas start out as a genin team. The only exception is when someone requests that they have a student for an apprenticeship." Sasuke frowned at this, but he did nod in confirmation. Naruto inwardly smirked. Good, if he could get them to realize that all genin were in teams of 3, then maybe they could actually pull this off. "Alright then. So let's see what skills we have to work with then. Sakura, why don't you tell us what you think is everybody's strong point?" "Is Sasuke, I would like you to tell what you think everybody's weak point is. Then starting with me, we will go over what we think is our strongest and weakest point." The other 2 nodded in agreement. Sasuke-kun's strongest point is his ninjutsu skills. He knows more jutsus than anyone else I know, and he has the Sharingan. "Naruto, you never really showed much in the academy, but you were always good at taijutsu." "My strongest point would be my brain," she said. Sasuke grunted. "Sakura's weakest point would be her lack of stamina and her fangirlism." "Naruto," he frowned as he looked at the boy, "his lack of trust in other people," he finally said. Naruto shrugged at that. "Mine would be chakra control." "Alright. I believe my strongest point to be my explosions, though I'm not allowed to use anything except for the low yield in friendly battles, so my taijutsu would be my second strongest point." "My weakest point is jinjutsus." His other weak point was chakra control, though it wouldn't seem like it. He may know multiple chakra exercises, but that really only gave him the control of a chunin instead of an anbu. Such was the curse of a large amount of chakra. The other 2 looked at him for a moment, then Sakura started. "My strongest point is, like I said, my brain, and I agree with Sasuke that my weakest point is my stamina. My strongest point is my Sharingan and ninjutsu repertoire, closely followed behind by my shurikenjutsu skills. My weakest is, like I said, chakra control. Alright, now is there anything else anybody thinks about each other's skills? The two shook their head. Alright, Sakura, since we all admit that your strongest point is your brain, how about you be the team strategist? She nodded and took a deep breath. Right, once we learn what our sensei is going to test with us, we should get away and meet to plan our course of action. Naruto smiled at her as she looked at them. Where will we meet then? Sasuke asked. Sakura paused. Frowning, Kaka-sensei won't be here for another hour, at least. We can't take a quick scouting around the training field? Naruto suggested. That sounds good. The three went and scouted the training field before returning back to where they had been earlier. Where the river bends, there are some good hiding spots where we can meet up, Sakura suggested. The two boys gave a nod. After Sensei gives us our test, we will meet there and discuss our plan then. Yeah, agreed, Sasuke muttered. Sakura nodded. With their plan in place, the three probationary genin waiting for their sensei to arrive. Finally, 3 hours after the scheduled meeting time, he arrived in a swirl of leaves, casually reading his book. Hashirama sighed in disappointment. Hello, the man greeted, looking up with a nice smile. Now we are going to begin your second test, he said, putting his book away. As he pulled out 2 bells, he shook them gently, causing a chime to ring out. These bells are your objective. Get a bell and you become a genin. Simple. Yeah, the 3 potential genin slowly nodded. It did seem simple, but sensei, there's only 2 bells, Sakura pointed out. Yep. Which means he trailed off, looking at them expectantly. Naruto paused as he remembered one of Ibuki's lessons. Even as Sakura said, only 2 of us can pass. Kakashi gave a nice smile, which Sasuke and Sakura took for confirmation. That's a lie, Naruto replied, crossing his arms. Sakura, remember what you said earlier? She and Sasuke frowned as he said that. Well, besides for that, the person who doesn't get a bell will be tied to post as the other 2 eat. If none of you get a bell, then it's up to me who eats and who doesn't before I fail you all, he said with a nice smile. Come at me with the intent to kill. The only thing banned is Naruto's higher explosives. The test ends at midday, Kakashi stated as he tied the bells onto his belt. Naruto pouted. Beggin, he stated. The 3 kids disappeared. Naruto, before he went to the meeting spot, created a clay clone of himself. Utilizing his low-yield explosives, he made his way to the spot and was slightly surprised to find Sasuke and Sakura both there. Alright guys, so what's our plan to get the bells? And Naruto asked. Sasuke frowned. There's only 2 bells. There is no need for 3 of us to work together if only 2 of us are going to pass. If you will recall, never actually confirmed that only 2 of us will pass. He trailed of letting you draw your own conclusions. Sakura, you stated earlier that all genin teams had 3 members. Yes, so why would there be 1 with only 2? Her eyes widened. The true test is to see if we will work together then. Sasuke nodded in agreement. Right, if that's the case, how are we going to get the bells? Sasuke will use his ninjutsus to attack Kakashi. Naruto, he said you can't use your high-yield explosives, which means you can use low-yield, correct? Naruto nodded in confirmation. Alright, so Naruto will throw explosions to keep Kakashi on edge from having to protect himself on 2 fronts. When I get a chance, I will throw a kunai to try and get the bells detached from his belt. Your 2 goal is to get him so distracted that he doesn't notice the bells disappearing. Once he no longer has the bells on him, lead him away, and I will grab the bells and you 2 get yourselves away from him and come find me, she said confidently for a moment before she bit her lip. If you 2 think it will work, that is. The 2 boys nodded. And then an explosion ringed out. That was my explosive clay clone. We better split, Naruto told them. The 3 potential genin split apart. Soon Naruto found himself at the edge of a clearing as Kakashi calmly stood in the center. Moment later, Sasuke came out, his Sharingan active as he started forming hand signs. Naruto reached into his pouch and pulled out some low-yield marbles. He tossed them out and exploded them with a silent katsu whenever Kakashi got close to one of them. Interesting tactic, Kakashi, he muttered as he substituted with the log to get away from one of Sasuke's fireballs. Naruto tossed out another handful of the marbles. Occasionally Naruto noticed some kunai and shuriken pass by, but none of them ever hit the string of the bells, though some were being thrown by Sasuke. He threw his own just to add another layer of distraction as he created a couple more clay clones. He also made a couple earth clones to mix in with them. He threw even more explosions, silently chanting Katsu as he moved his hands to the cross position. Finally Naruto dissed that one of the bells were cut free. Sasuke must have noticed as well because he started trying to mush Kakashi away. Naruto helped as well as the 2 moved Kakashi away from the clearing. 1 bell was better than no bell after all. One of his clay clones exploded and Kakashi destroyed a rock clone. The 2 managed to push Kakashi away from the clearing, and after another minute the 2 stopped their attack and fled back to Sakura, who was holding the bell. Kakashi appeared in a poof of smoke, and a second later, the timer went off. Congratulations Sakura, you got a bell, he said with a nice smile. He then tied Naruto to the post. Now this is quite interesting. Only one of you managed to get a bell. Actually all of us managed to get a bell, Sasuke interrupted, smirking. Oh. And how is that? Because we all worked together in order to get the bell from you. You only said we had to get the bell, not that we had to keep it. Sakura answered, handing the bell to Sasuke. Sakura was our tactician who created the plan, and then we worked together to execute it, Naruto told him, smirking. Sasuke placed the bell on top of Naruto's head. Said boy rolled his eyes. I see, Kakashi stated, looking at all of them. Well, I suppose you three might still have chance to pass. Just answer me this. What is the most important thing to a ninja? Sakura frowned, and looked at the two boys, who nodded to her to answer. Is a teamwork, sensei? Sasuke, Naruto, he asked. Teamwork. Both boys agreed with Sakura. After all, she was the brains of the three. Kakashi gave them an eye grin. Congratulations, you three past. Ninja who break the rules are scum. But those who abandon their teammates are worse than scum. Did that once, and it cost me my best friend. Kakashi spoke quietly. You may not fully like each other, but you're a team now, and I expect you three to act like it. I don't care if it costs you the mission. Your team comes before everything else. Do you understand? Understood. The three shouted. Good. Now since you three pass, let's go get some food, Kakashi said with a nice smile as he cut Naruto free. The three students followed their new sensei to the ever-popular barbecue. The three ate lunch together before returning to the training field. Alright, we're going to go over your full skill set now. I want you to list each skill branch, ninjutsu, taijutsu, etc., and how proficient you are in them. For a genin, for example, my ninjutsu is highly skilled, while my kinjutsu is my weakest skill. List only the skills you use. Sasuke, ninjutsu, highly skilled, taijutsu, above average, jinjutsu, below average, bukijutsu, above average, chakra control, weakest skill, good, slightly above average across the board. We can work on chakra control. Next, Sakura. Ninjutsu, average, taijutsu, below average, jinjutsu, average, bukijutsu, average, chakra control, highly skilled. My weakest skill is my stamina. Anything unique? Kakashi asked. No, we will have to find you something so you're not a completely average ninja. Finally, Naruto, ninjutsu, highly skilled, taijutsu, above average, jinjutsu, weakest skill, bukijutsu, average, chakra control, chunin level. I need help to figure out how to better control it. Explosions, highly skilled, kinjutsu, above average, bikeichu, below average, funjutsu, above average, janken. Number 1. Naruto finished with a grin and a victory sign. Alright, so we have to find some way for you to get better at jinjutsus. What sword do you use for kinjutsu? Not a sword, Naruto replied with a shrug. Kakashi just nodded. Alright, that's all for the day. I have to go and make a plan for how we will take your training. See you tomorrow, he stated and disappeared with a poof of smoke. So what are your high-yield explosions? Sasuke asked. They're my T1 and up bombs. I'm not allowed to use them in Konoha anyways. My godfather is waiting to hear if I pass or not. So I'm heading out. See ya later, he said, turning and walking off. He heard Sakura ask, did you know he had a godfather? And Sasuke grunted no. In response, he continued towards the house and entered. Hey Jiraiya. Team 7 passed. I'm now officially a genin of Konoha. That's good, brat. What test did Kakashi give you? The bell test, the man waffled. I see the tradition has continued then. That's good. I'm going to go continue my study on blood seals. Once I finish the book I'm learning, I'm going to see if I can figure out the next seal for making the Hiraishin. Be careful, Jiraiya warned needlessly. I know, Naruto told him. The rest of the day he studied blood seals, and then as night fell he ate dinner and went to sleep. The next few days passed by normally, with Kakashi just testing them to see their skills in action. But today was Naruto's birthday. Jiraiya made sure the invites were sent to the normal people. Naruto was going to invite Sasuke, Sakura over personally. Once team training was done, he went, and they did their normal training. Sasuke on chakra control, Sakura on stamina, and him on jinjutsus. Finally team training was done. Kaka-sensei already knows. But today is my birthday. I'm having a party at my house. Would you two like to come? Sure. Naruto smiled. It is a semi-casual event, and it begins at 6. I look forward to seeing you there, he said. He went back home as he and Jiraiya worked to finish the last-minute preparations. Finally people started arriving. Hinata came with her father, Shino came with his father, Sasuke came with Fugaku, who was always invited. Kakashi came, as did Ino, Shikacho, and the juniors. Guy and Asuma arrived, and even Ibiki came. Though this was his first year invited. Finally Sakura arrived. She seemed stunned when she came in to see how many people were actually in his house. Hello Sakura. He greeted. Please enjoy yourself while you are here. The main event will begin in at 7. What is this, my birthday party? There's so many people here, she said looking around. Madara scoffed a bit in the background. Hashirama coughed. He glared at Hashirama. Naruto ignored them as he focused on Sakura. Yeah, I guess some of the parents are invited with the kids, since it would be rude to only invite the heir of the clan and not the clan head. Naruto told her. She blinked. What do you mean? I forgot you're not a part of a clan, or have any teaching into clan politics. Piece of advice, Sakura. If you really want to have a chance of marrying Sasuke, you should learn the clan politics. He told her. Uzumaki-san. Ibiki greeted with a nod. Ibiki-san. How are you doing? I'm doing well. And you? Fine. This is Sakura Hiruno. Naruto replied, introducing her to him. Sakura, this is Ibiki Morino. He dipped his head in acknowledgement towards her. I only came to wish you a happy birthday. I have left a gift on the table for you. I will see you next week. Uzumaki-san. Alright then, see ya next week. Ibiki-san. Naruto replied back as the man nodded and left. Sakura frowned a bit. She shrugged, unable to find the word to the point. Naruto questioned with a small smirk. He can be sometimes. If you ask him a question, don't expect for it to be answered in the way you want, he said with a chuckle. She just blinked. She watched Naruto as he greeted Asuma. Will the first be expected to do any political stuff here? She asked afterwards. Not particularly. They will know you're not from a clan. Just be polite. Always address the clan heads with their clan name, and the sama honorific unless you are on friendly terms with them. You're a kid, and not a clan heir, so you aren't expected to know any of the formal necessities, and all that. He told her. If you're really worried about it, maybe you should ask Sasuke. Tutor, you ask it like this, first bow to him then say, Sasuke-san, I would like to request your tutorship in politics. He should be able to help you get your foot into the door, Naruto said with a smile. With a small wink he leaned closer and whisper, and you might find yourself alone with him. You could use this opportunity to better know him, as a friend. After all, if you know what he likes. Naruto trailed off as he leaned back. He was using the same trick Kakashi had tried to use on the bell test. He was letting her draw opinion of what he meant. Sure, it could be taken that if she knows what he likes, then she can make herself seem more appealable to Sasuke. Or if she knows what he likes, she might just find that she doesn't actually love the Uchiha clan heir. Still, by doing this he was able to get into her good books. He watched for a moment as she went over and bowed to Sasuke. Greetings, Uzumaki-san. A voice spoke from next to him. Turning, he gave a small bow. Greetings, Hyuga-sama. I hope you are enjoying yourself. It is adequate. I hear you have made genin under Hatake. I have. I am now a member of Team 7. Naruto answered with a small tilt of his head in the direction of Sasuke and Sakura. How is your team? I have heard that you and the Uchiha boy tend to not get along. It has been fine. We get along for the sake of our team, but usually as soon as the training ends we go our separate ways. Naruto answered. I see. Hinata was disappointed to not be on your team, he commented lightly. Warning bell started ringing in Naruto's head. It was a shame that we were unable to be on a team as we had wanted, but at least she and Shino could be on a team together. The Hyuga clan head stared at him for a moment. Good evening, Naruto, Shino said, appearing next to him. Naruto gave a polite bow. Hayashi, if you will excuse me, I must speak with my other guests. The Hyuga clan head gave a small nod and went over to Shibi. Naruto gave a small sigh of relief as he turned to Shino. Hey Shino. Thanks for that. I have a feeling Hyuga-sama is planning something. It would not be a surprise, Shino replied back. What do you mean by that? Well, Hinata is of age for marriage contracts to start being drafted if she has not had a contract set for her at birth, Shino told him. Naruto shook his head. I'm not interested in marriage, he said, wrinkling his nose. He hear Shino's bugs buzz in laughter. He pouted at the boy. Yeah, laugh it up. The party continue on for a little longer, and Naruto noticed that as Gigi arrived a few minutes before 7 came, and a cake was revealed. Jiraiya grabbed him and led him to the front where they stood and clinked the fork against the glass. Thank you all for coming. Today is the 12th birthday of my godson, Naruto Uzumaki. Let's all wish him a happy birthday, he said, throwing his arm around the boy, who rolled his eyes. Shouts of happy birthday were called out to him. Naruto took the knife and cut the first slice. Soon other people came up and cut into the cake. Naruto made his way over to the third. Behind him stood Tobirama. Hey Gigi, Naruto said with a smile. Hello, Naruto-kun. How's your birthday? Good. That's good to hear. I was wondering if you will be going to the tournament this year. Of course. Even if I have to use up my vacation days to take the tournament, I don't want to lose my position. I see. I still have to determine your guard is this year. Don't already have a person in mind to tell you what the tournament is, Naruto said, with a teasing grin. If you can convince Ibiki to not tell me, I don't think there's anybody I can send who will tell me, Sarutobi said, with a chuckle. Well, I remember when the birthdays used to just be me and you. The old man chuckled. Now look at you. The old man smiled. You're well on your way to becoming Hokage, the man said, ruffling the boy's hair. Naruto beamed, his heart feeling warm. Thanks Gigi, he said softly, grateful to the man who had looked after him. The man nodded and went to mingle amongst the other guests. The party continued for another hour with the guests mingling, some coming and talking to him, congratulating him for becoming a gen, and others mostly hanging back since they were only there because politics. Naruto made it a point to at least say hello with everyone, and exchange some small talk before moving on. Eventually the guests all left and Naruto collapsed onto the couch exhausted. Finally they're gone. Now we can see what your haul is this year, Jiraiya said with a grin, pointing to the table, which held quite a few presents. Naruto grabbed the largest present first, looking at the tag on it. The present was from the Ino Shikacho Alliance, and the juniors. Opening it, he found a nice, well-crafted shoji board. He was quickly able to spot that it was custom-made, as it had an engraving of the Uzumaki swirl on it. Smiling, he put it to the side as he grabbed the next present. It was from the Hyugas, and was a book on advanced chakra control. Maybe he could find a new chakra control exercises in it. The next present was a scroll from the Aburames. Opening the scroll, he saw it was a small jinjutsu utilizing his bugs to make it seem like there were more than there actually was. Next he grabbed the gift from the Uchihas, which was another scroll with a jutsu, the Kaiten Dragon Fire technique. It was a small technique which spat fire onto wires to burn a captured enemy. Jiraiya finally shoved a present in his hands. Naruto just grinned at the man as he slowly took his time to unwrap the present from Jiraiya. It was a book on advanced Funjutsu. Naruto thanks Jiraiya before moving on to the next gift, which was from Kakashi. It was a rather simple book on Jinjutsus. Naruto grabbed the square gift and read the tag. It was from the third. Opening the packet, he saw Happuri in it. A note was attached. Naruto-kun, I'm sure you will receive a lot of items to help with your training, but I thought that this might be a bit better. As you know, my sensei wore a Happuri instead of the traditional headband. When I was thinking of what to get you, this came to mind. When I see you working so hard to get stronger, just so you can become recognized by Konoha, and become the next Hokage, you remind me of him. Tobirama always thought of Konoha as a family, and know that one day you will be the next ruler of the family. Gigi. Naruto smiled as he read the letter. He couldn't help but to tear up a bit in happiness. People believed in him. His Gigi thought could become the next Hokage. Naruto carefully took off his headband and put on the Happuri, slightly surprised by just how well it felt. Looking good, Hashirama beamed, giving him a thumbs up. Madara nodded in agreement. You definitely wear it better than Tobirama does, thanks, Naruto said before he went to grab his next gift, which was from Asuma. It was a small card. Hey, I know that usually kids don't learn their chakra affinities till they're chunin, but I figured this would be a good gift. This chakra paper will tell you your primary affinity. Just push chakra into it. The results should be pretty obvious, but if you're confused, I'm sure Jiraiya will tell you. Taped onto the card was a small square paper. He carefully pulled the paper off. Oh cool, a chakra paper. Let's see what you got. Naruto nodded and pushed a bit of chakra into the paper. The paper violently ripped in half. Before burning. Nice, you have two primary affinities, wind and fire. Someday we'll have to test to see if you have any secondary affinities. Naruto just gave a small grunt at that. The Uchiha be strong with this one, Hashirama muttered as he sighed and looked up as if begging for patience. Madara scowled and cuffed him. Hashirama pouted. Madara scoffed. Naruto just chuckled at the two's antics. At least Naru-chan likes me, the man said, throwing his arms around Naruto's neck, suddenly sitting next to him. Madara just shook his head and sighed. Naruto grabbed his next gift, a book from Ibiki, a book on gathering information from people physically. Hashirama and Jiraiya scowled at the book. Naruto just put it with his other stuff. He wasn't particularly interested in having to torture others to get information, but it was an interesting gift, and it wouldn't hurt to at least know about it. The final gift on the table was actually from the Anbu, which meant the commander and his old guards, who no longer guarded him since he was a genin. Opening it up, he blinked in surprise to see that it was a slightly worn scroll. It was labeled the Uzumaki Whirlpool Taijutsu style. All in all, it was a good birthday this year, though there were quite a few jutsus and stuff unlike previous years, though that was probably because he had just became a genin. The clan families would be now fully passing down their techniques to their children. After all, Naruto yawned as he gathered his gifts and put them away in his room. Changing into his clothes, he collapsed onto his bed and was asleep before his head even hit his pillow. The next day he woke up with a sigh. It was the weekend, which Kakashi left them to train themselves or relax as they saw fit. Naruto, though, had finished studying blood seals and was now ready to take a look at the next part of the Hiraishin seal. Looking at the journal, he read what Minato had written. The next seal I discovered in Tobirama's Hiraishin is a blood seal. I never was a huge fan of the seals, though the gravity seal is quite useful anyways. This seal is a blood connection seal, which is relatively simple to do as it makes it so only that specific user can use it. I'm actually shocked that such a simple seal is incorporated into it. The paragraph ended there, but the next paragraph said, on second observation, with comparisons between Tobirama's blood connector and ordinary blood connector, there are Few subtle differences. Looking at these differences, I realized that it actually allows Tobirama to carry and bring along someone else through the technique, and in fact allows for him to connect someone else to the formula. It is ingenious. Tobirama was truly a brilliant man to be able to incorporate all that with his blood seal. Unfortunately, I have to study the seal further before incorporating Tobirama's directly into mine. Below the paragraph it had a drawing of both a normal blood connector seal and Tobirama's with scribbles marking the difference, and stating what he believed each mark's purpose was. On the page next to it was another seal that his father helpfully labeled as his seal. Naruto noticed it was slightly different from Tobirama's, though unfortunately his father didn't write why his seal was different from Tobirama's, or what the differences did, so Naruto began the slow work of deciphering his father's seal. He easily recognized some of the additions, which was simply modifying the seal so that Minato would be able to use it more easier, and it was actually making it so that the seal was more thoroughly connected to each person, making it more like an extension of the user's will than a jutsu. Once Naruto realized that he was able to get to work on redesigning the blood connector seal to serve his purpose, it took him the full weekend to do it, but he was able to design the advanced blood connector seal. He stored the design with his chakra location seal. He was slowly working his way through the Hiration. The next seal was a seal to break the body apart into its molecular structure, and then reform it. Naruto stared at the complicated-looking seal, and decided to continue the project another time. Eating dinner, he went to bed. The next day they met up with Kakashi, and he started training them, trying to first help them overcome their weaknesses. For Sasuke, he taught him tree climbing. He had also started Sakura on that as he stamina exercise. For Naruto, he subjugated him to genjutsus after telling him how to break out of them. Then they break for lunch before they went to mission. Control Team 7 ready for our first mission period, Kakashi announced with a nice smile. Oh, and well, let's see, we have a small selection of D ranks for you. Would you like to paint a fence, clean a house, babysit, or pick up trash? Well, team, what would you like? Kakashi asked with an eye grin. What kind of missions are these? Sasuke asked with a frown. They are the mission that freshly graduated genin like yourself can do. If you complete enough of them, then you can then go on a C rank, Kakashi answered. How many D ranks are enough to go on a C rank? Sakura asked. Well, usually it's actually closer to 100 D ranks before we take you out for a simple C rank. But the bare minimum of D ranks needed at 10, Kakashi told him with a nice smile. How many D ranks can team take in a day? Sakura asked next. The two boys listened as they realized Sakura had caught onto something. I believe that a genin team is only allowed up to 3 D rank missions a day. She nodded. Alright, then. We will take the fence painting mission, the house cleaning mission, and the picking up trash mission period. The Hokage chuckled. Alright then. Here are your mission scrolls. Kakashi grabbed them with a nice smile. Thank you. Team 7 will complete the missions and return soon. They exited the mission room, and Kakashi led them to a house with a fence. Next to one of the gates was a couple paint cans. The 3 genin quickly got to work painting the fence. A couple hours later, and the 3 genin finished. Next, they went to the next mission location, and they found a house that had dust stacked up an inch thick on almost everything, though there was a trail where it looked like someone walked in and went through everything. An old woman stood at the door. There you ninja are that I hired. I've been waiting forever for you damn slowpokes to arrive, she said, her voice high pitched and croaky as if she didn't talk much. My grandson wants me to move into the new retirement home since I can't live here anymore, so now I have to sail this place, so chop chop get to cleaning. What are you standing around for? She asked, looking at them as she pointed to the dust and grime. The 3 genin sighed silently as they got to work. Though Naruto was able to listen to Madara and Hashirama mess about, Madara was making snide comments about everything and Hashirama was scolding him about his comments, saying he was being rude. Madara just smirked. You know you find my remarks amusing. No one can't see you besides for Naruto. Me just admit it. Hashirama went silent as Naruto glanced at him from the corner of his eyes. He saw Madara grin even wider. Come on Hashirama. I know you're not a stickler like your brother, Madara coaxed. Fine, Hashirama stated, looking away. Madara chuckled and went back to making his snide remarks. How long are you ninja going to take? I thought you youngsters were supposed to be fast or something. The woman grouched in a shrill voice. Madara snorted. Oh, would you just shut up already, you old hag? They are going faster than you ever did. A wide grin spread across his face as he added, unless it was when you were cool. Hashirama choked as he quickly slammed his hand onto Madara's mouth. Naruto paused, then sweat dropped. Had Madara been about to make some perverted comment? Madara, don't make jokes like that in front of Naruto. I won't let you corrupt him, Hashirama said, cuffing Madara on the head. The Uchiha just rolled his eyes. Chan, he grunted in reply. Period. Don't you whatever me, Hashirama said, pouting. Madara smirked. Other than the two being up to their normal antics though, and Naruto trying to not laugh at it all, the cleaning went pretty smoothly, and only took them an hour. and a half. Finally it was time to do their last mission, in which they had to pick up trash from one of Konoha's parks. It may seem like that should be pretty easy, but the civilians never listened to the rule of don't litter, and so trash was everywhere. It took them an hour to finish cleaning up the mess. The three then returned to the mission office to report their success. They were dismissed for the day, and then they each went their separate paths, tired from the hard work they did. The next day they got up and had to do the same thing over again. They once more grabbed 3 missions, wanting to get as many done as soon as possible. The next week passed by with team training in the mornings, and in the afternoon they did 3D rank missions. It didn't take long for the Genins to become unhappy with the chores, though they continued to sludge through them. Finally it was Friday, and the 3 Genin were done. They had done a mission to clean out the carrier bird nesting area, and they had to catch Tora for the 3rd time in as many days. The 3 members of Team 7 were tired of the chores. The 3 trudged into the mission, centered, scratched up from catching Tora. The demonic cat was hissing and spitting from the crate the 3 had shoved it into. After Sasuke managed to use his Sharingan to knock it out, they returned the cat to its owner, and the woman started hugging the cat tightly. The Hokage smiled at them as he listed of the mission options they had for their 3rd mission for the day. Let's see, the academy is requesting a team to clean a room. There is a babysitting mission available. The Inuzuka kennels need cleaning. A yelp and shout of Tora interrupted him. The Hokage chuckled. And I believe the catch Tora mission is available again. GG. Is there any C-rank mission we can't take? Naruto asked, desperate. Do something other than the chores they had been given. Beside him Sakura and Sasuke nodded. Yeah, we have done the minimum of 10D ranks, Sakura added. Iruka frowned at them. You 3 are fresh rookies, all you can do is D ranks. The ninja ranking system is in place for a reason. You wouldn't be safe taking a C-rank mission. Period. Iruka, the Hokage said, cutting the man off. He turned to Kakashi. Well, they are your team. What? You think? Kakashi looked at his students. I think they can handle a simple C rank. The 3rd nodded and looked through the C rank missions. Here we go, this will do nicely. An easy bodyguarding mission. He nodded, and then a moment later the door opened and came a stumbling, intoxicated man. My name is Tazuna, and I'm a super bridge builder. You are to give me super protection while I build my super bridge, the man declared, lifting his bottle up. The man blinked as he looked at them. Oh, I thought I was getting super ninjas, not super brats. We are ninjas, Tazuna-san, Sakura said politely. Roman, I see. Well, please give me super protection while I build my bridge, Tazuna shouted, waving the bottle and taking a sip. Of course, Naruto agreed, beaming at the man. His posture resembled how Hashirama normally stood. HN Sasuke agreed. All right, team. We will meet at the bridge at 8 a.m. We will be on time. The for once went on, said the 3 Genin nodded. After 3 days of Kakashi being 3 hours late in a row, they just didn't bother showing up until 3 hours had passed. Kakashi had been proud of them for following in his footsteps. Of course, sensei, make sure you pack enough supplies for a month. Naruto paused. A month? Yeah, that's how long the mission is estimated to be. Mentally calculating, that gave him roughly 2 weeks before he had to head out for the tournament. He gave a nod. All right then, it better not take too much longer than that, though I got a vacation to go on, he muttered. Team 7 split us. Each went home to pack. Naruto was mostly already packed since he carried a lot of stuff on him via his seals. He just made sure to grab a few extra sets of clothes. Nodding once he was packed, he went to bed early. After eating some Bakuden, tomorrow he would go on his first real mission. Naruto made his way to the gate the next morning. Looking the same as he normally did, he saw Sasuke and Sakura standing there, both with backpacks on. It was only a minute later when Kakashi walked up to them with their client. All right, first things first, I want to make sure that you guys have packed the essentials. Sasuke, what did you pack? A 1-month ration scroll, 2 extra sets of clothing. I also have extra weapons and a few explosive notes. I have a few scrolls to read for if I have free time, Sasuke said. Good. You have met the bare essentials. Sakura, same thing as Sasuke, only I don't have anything to do in free time, she replied. Period. Kakashi gave a nod. Naruto, I have my food scroll, which holds plenty of food. I have my explosive clay ready. I have some weapons and a couple extra sets of clothing, and a basic first aid kit. I think that's all the important stuff. All right. Well, it's time to set off, Kakashi said with a nice smile as they situated themselves around Tazuna, the 4 ninja, and 1 civilian. Began the long walk towards Wave Country. Naruto sighed after a few hours. He was bored. Sure, it was interesting finally going on a mission that wasn't a chore, but realistically he knew that there was low chance of anything happening, though that would be considered a good thing in the books of ninja everywhere. A boring mission is a safe mission. After all, the day passed, and they set up camp. Madara and Hashirama were whispering to each other about something. They went oddly silent when Naruto raised an eyebrow at them, idly wondering what the two were planning. He shrugged it off as non-important and went to sleep. He would have middle watch. The next day they continued on their journey, Sensei, does Wave have ninja? Sakura asked. No they don't, Kakashi answered idly flipping through his book. Sakura frowned. Some other countries have different customs and traditions, and they have ninja as well. There are a few minor villages, but there are 5 major hidden villages in each of the great nations. Here in Fire Country we have Kanahigakure, in Wind Country they have Tsunagakure, in Lightning they have Kimagakure, in Water Country they have the Kirigakure, and finally in Earth Country, they have Iwagakure. Kakashi continued looking up from his book. In each of these countries only the strongest are allowed to wear the title of Shadow. We have the Hokage, then the leader of Suna is the Kazekage, Lightning has the Raikage, Water has the Mizukage, and Earth has the Tsuchikage. These 5 are the known as the most powerful. Naruto's mind flashed back to Inoki complaining about his back, and to his Gigi being a pervert. It was surely true that the older the ninja was, the more knowledge and power they had. He looked to see Sakura frown. The old man is that powerful? She questioned. Don't doubt him, Kakashi rebuked her. The older the ninja is, the more powerful they are. That's the rule of thumb anyways. There are some exceptions to that of course, Kakashi said. The group fell silent as they thought over that. Kaka-sensei, isn't Oji-sen older than Gigi? He asked, wondering which of the two was more powerful. I guess he is, though those two are relatively close in terms of power, he answered. Naruto hummed, thinking about the two old man. They continued walking. A few hours passed by. I sensed 2 people further up ahead. Ninjas of some sort, Hashirama warned. Naruto gave a slight nod and fell back to walk next to Kakashi. He quickly signed to Kakashi what Hashirama had told him. Play along. Kakashi signed back to him. Naruto just nodded and went back to his position. Soon they walked past the puddle, and they turned as they heard a noise only to see Kakashi ripped apart. Naruto gave a slow blink. So that's what Kakashi meant. He felt the 2 enemies get behind him. Quickly he jumped away. Turning as he jumped away, he reached into his pouch and pulled out some of his smaller explosions. Sasuke was frozen for a moment before he moved, and with expert precision, he tossed out his weapons, the wire wrapping around the 2 attackers before they could notice. Good job my cute little genin, Kakashi said with a grin as he reappeared unharmed. He went to the 2 trapped ninjas and de-armed them of their weapons. Now I wonder what a couple Chunin ninja like you are doing on this road, he mused, looking at 2 captives. Naruto, you have been learning from Ibiki, Kakashi said with a small grin as the 2 Chunin looked decidedly more nervous. You don't mean Ibiki Morino, Konoha's mind breaker, do you? One of them whimpered. Of course I'm sure that Naruto wouldn't mind an opportunity to utilize what he's learned from Ibiki, Kakashi said with a sadistic eye smile. Would you, Naruto? Naruto paused, wondering what Kakashi meant before he realized that he still wanted Naruto to play along, so Naruto used the intimidation aura as he looked at the 2 Chunin, eyeing them like a piece of meat. Of course not. Ibiki-sensei has been wanting me to get some more practice in, he said calmly. The 2 swallowed. Will spill. Just don't let him torture us, one of them called out. The other nodded frantically. Such was the terror even the mention Ibiki's name could cause, and learning that Naruto was his apprentice, while the 2 Chunin certainly weren't willing to find out just how much the boy had been taught. Madara was laughing amused as Naruto just gave a small sigh as the 2 Chunin started rambling on about their plans and stuff. Well, it seems that this mission no longer qualifies as a C-rank mission. Please, you have to help us. Wave is slowly being constricted, and Gato is killing us. Tazuna started ranting. We're going to help Wave, Hashirama said, and started walking. Naruto just shrugged and continued walking along the road towards Wave. Hashirama was walking ahead of him, a determined expression on his face. Madara just sighed. Stupid soft-hearted fool, he grumbled. It took a few minutes, but eventually his team caught up on him. Naruto, what are you doing? Sakura asked. Continuing the mission. He said with a shrug. But it is our duty as a ninja to complete the mission. Just because it becomes more difficult than expected, are you going to give up? Because if that's the case, you might as well give up being a ninja right now, he told her. Our orders were to protect Tazuna, and that is what we will do, but we could die. We can't face off against stronger ninjas, she protested. Naruto frowned as he turned to her. Then why are you a ninja? What do you mean? To be a ninja means to die doing your duty. If I die on this mission, then I did my job as a ninja. If I live, then I will continue on to the next mission. It is our duty as ninja to complete missions assigned to us at the risk of our own lives, he told her. If it was one thing he learned being able to see Shimmers, it was that many ninja died young. Only a rare group made it to 40. That was why ninjas dated at a younger age, and part of the reason their romances never tended to work out. Sakura looked shocked as she took in what he said, before scoffing. What would you know, you're just the dead last, she stated. In denial, he shrugged. If you want to go back to Konoha, you can tell Gigi that this mission has increased rank, but I'm continuing. The dobe is right. Our mission is to protect Tazuna, Sasuke grunted. Sakura looked at Sasuke before she bit her lip. Oh, okay then. We protect Tazuna. What are you guys waiting for? And Kakashi asked with an eye grin from ahead of them. So the three continued their journey eventually after another day of walking coming to the part where they would have to ride across a small boat in order to get to Wave where they would continue on to Tezuna's house, but first they had to get across the misty water finally safely across. From the long slow boat ride Naruto absently pulled out one of his explosive marbles, and played with it. Naruto, what grade is it? Kakashi asked. Naruto looked more closely at the marble. He noticed now that it was black. To his vision, this, just my triple L bomb. It's fun, not as big as a T4 will be, but I haven't gotten a chance to test the T4s. Naruto said, a happy pyromaniac grin on his face. His two teammates sent him odd looks. As they reached land the mist became thicker and thicker. This mist is not natural, Madara stated as Sharingan activated. Naruto sent a glance towards him. It is most likely a jutsu, he further explained. They continued walking on everyone down. Kakashi shouted, tackling Tezuna to the ground. Even as the genin ducked they quickly got up and surrounded Tezuna. Even as they looked up to where a large sword had hit a tree and a man stood on top of the sword. This man had bandages wrapped around his mouth and down his neck. Short spiky brown hair with his headband wrapped sideways. He had black muscle shirt and black pants that ended underneath what looked like striped leg warmers that were connected to his sandals. Hand over the bridge builder, and I won't kill you all, the man said, looking down at them. He started seeming more intimidating and scary. Naruto focused on his will to protect and pushed out his own aura of protection. It wasn't anywhere as good as Hashirama, who seemed to exude the aura naturally, but it helped to calm his two teammates. Such a cheap trick like that won't help you, Naruto said, staring up at the man. Hey, I'm surprised one of your brats is able to utilize the manipulating chakra trick, the man commented. Interesting, but unfortunately for you brats it's time for you to die. The man in front of them ran towards them in a blur. Naruto quickly blocked the man's large sword with his gunbei. His arms protested as the man bared down on him. The man had attached them head on. The man gave a chilling laugh. Really, you truly do have an interesting brat here, copycat Kakashi. Kakashi gave an eye grin. He is truly one of a kind. Demon of the Mist, Zabuza. I won't let you hurt any of my brats. Team, protect Tezuna. The three genin gave a nod. Zabuza gave a chuckle, and the mist thickened around them even more. 8 spots, the larynx, the spine, the lungs, the liver, the jugular, the subclavian veins, the kidney, and the heart. Hey, which vulnerable spot should I pick for each of you? Naruto felt Kakashi pulse his chakra out, blasting the mist away, letting them see the battlefield. Zabuza smirked as he once again vanished from the side of Sasuke and Sakura, though Naruto saw him using a jutsu. Suddenly he reappeared in between all of them. Kakashi arrived a split second later, thrusting a kunai into Zabuza. The three watched as water bled out of Zabuza and another Zabuza appeared behind Kakashi. In a manner similar to leapfrog, the two kept stabbing and bleeding water until Kakashi held Zabuza at kunai point to his throat. It's over, Kakashi stated. Zabuza smirked and Kakashi glanced behind him just in time to see yet another Zabuza bearing down on him. Kakashi jerked the kunai and ducked down, avoiding getting cut in half from the giant sword Zabuza wielded. The two continued their fight. It ended when Zabuza managed to capture their sensei in a ball of water. While you were distracted with the fight, I was using these bugs as they should be. All you have to do is command them to drain his chakra, Kurama stated in his mind. Naruto smirked and silently thanked the Bijou as he sent the command to the Bikachu to drain Zabuza's chakra. What the man muttered. You should be feeling the drain, Naruto commented flatly as he slightly mimicked his friend Shino. Why? Because I'm an honorary Aburame. He ended this with an arrogant smirk that was pure Madara. Zabuza growled at him as the prison wavered and fell. Suddenly a Senbon came out of the trees and pierced the man in the neck. Thank you for weakening him. I will take care of it from here, a mysterious person in a mask said as they dropped down, grabbed Zabuza, and fled. Naruto's eyes widened as he remembered a bit of information from his training with the Anbu. Hunter Nin dissected their victim on the spot of their death. The four continued on their journey to Tezuna's house, Kakashi needing a bit of help as he was exhausted, though he wasn't completely to the point of chakra exhaustion. They arrived at Tezuna's house, and after a reunion between Tezuna and his family, Kakashi gathered them for a team meeting. All right, we're going to have to train hard over the next few days, he stated. Why, sensei? Sakura asked. Other than the fact that you're a weak piece of fangirl trash, Madara questioned with a snort. Hush you, Hashirama said scoldingly. Madara just stuck his tongue out at the man, an immature action he and Naruto tended to do a lot. Well, you see, Zabuza is most likely still alive, Kakashi said with a shrug. He is? Sasuke questioned, his eyes narrowed. Yes, you see, Hunter Ninja are supposed to dissect their targets on the spot, regardless of enemy. Ninja. But, wouldn't the enemy ninja try and kill them? Sakura asked with a frown. Kakashi looked at her. Possibly. But Hunter ninjas, are some of the most elite Anbu. That and there is a general agreement among villages that if a hunter nin shows up then they are allowed to kill with the body. Should we go see if we can find where they went to? Hashirama asked. Madara shrugged. I suppose we could. But where's the fun in that? Hashirama rolled his eyes. It would be safer if we could keep Naru-chan and his team updated on the progress of that swordsman. Recovery-chen, if you want to go find, I will keep an eye on Naruto, then Madara stated, crossing his arms. Alright, I'll be back in a little bit, Hashirama said with a smile as he waved goodbye and walked out of the wall. Hashi-chan has gone to find Zabuza's location and keep tabs on him. Naruto subtly signed to Kakashi. Alright, keep me updated. Kakashi signed back to. Zuna's daughter cooked them dinner, and the group happily ate the food. They noticed that she took dish upstairs, and when she came back down she no longer had it. Seeing the questioning glances, she told them that her son, Inari, wasn't feeling well. After dinner she led them to their rooms, where Kakashi, Sasuke, and Naruto would share a room, and Sakura would have a room to herself. Set up a patrol schedule, Naruto, and put me for last shift. I'm going to sleep now, Kakashi ordered before collapsing onto the bed. Within seconds he was asleep. Sasuke, you will have first shift with Sakura. Set up a perimeter of 1,000 feet around the house. 3-hour shifts, Naruto stated. And why should I listen to you, Dobe? Sasuke asked with a sneer. Because Kaka-sensei literally just told me to do it, and so I am, Naruto replied, giving the boy a flat look. Why do I have to be on a patrol shift with the fangirl? Because no one should patrol alone. I have Kurama to patrol with me, meaning that leaves you to pair up with Sakura. Now get going. Sasuke huffed, but left. The night passed with no incident, and the next morning they woke up to Tsunami having cooked a nice breakfast. During breakfast Hashirama returned and reported that Zabuza would be out of action for a week, and that the hunter nin was indeed his accomplice. Naruto reported this to Kakashi, who gave a small nod. Alright, my cute little genin, we will begin training now. Let's see, Sakura. Your stamina is still weak, so I want you to practice tree walking until your chakra reserves are empty. Rest for 10 minutes and then go again. Sakura nodded, and went to start her training. Sasuke, you need to work on chakra control, so you will be doing the water walking exercise. Like the tree walking, only you have to constantly adjust the flow of chakra to prevent from sinking in. Sasuke nodded, and went off. Naruto, you were using your gunbei to defend, but how much experience do you have actually using it? I have never spared with it before. Alright me, and you are going to spar then. I will use my tanto. The two fought, Naruto getting used to actually using the gunbei to block against blows. Madara gave him tips on how to better block, and Hashirama told him things to tell Kakashi about the way he was wielding his sword. Apparently Hashirama used a ton of different swords. Kakashi and Naruto spared each other at Chunin speed. Around the lunch the two took a break, and went to go see how the other two members of Team 7 were doing, and paused for lunch. Sakura was on the ground exhausted, and it took her a few minutes to even get up to walk with them. They found Sasuke soaking wet and glaring at the water with his Sharingan blazing. Looks like you haven't made any progress, team. Naruto taunted. Oh yeah, like you can do this, the boy retorted angrily. Naruto walked out onto the water with a smirk as he crossed his arms. You were saying? Why must you take after Dara-chan so much? Hashirama complained once again. A large fireball went towards Hashirama, who ducked. Do not call me Dara-chan, Madara shouted. Naya! Dara-chan, 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 Hashirama shouted, sticking his tongue out. Hashirama, Madara bellowed. The first Hokage laughed, and the two started sparring, Hashirama continuously calling Madara Dara-chan. Naruto, Kakashi called out. He blinked and looked over to where the team was staring at him. Sorry, I was remembering something. Anything important? The Kakashi asked. Not just amusing, he replied, grinning. The four of them ate lunch, and then went back to training. The only difference was that Kakashi wanted Sakura to run laps around the house until she collapsed. They went back to sparring and improving. That night they ate dinner and met Tsunami's son, who told them they were all going to die. Really? We are. I didn't know you were a prophet. Tsunami-san, why didn't you tell us your son was a prophet? Naruto asked, giving a grin similar to Hashirama. Inari promptly ran off. Was it something I said? Naruto asked. Waka! Sakura shouted and tried to punch him. He easily dodged. Man, you're violent, Sakura, period. Maybe the pink-haired thing should study medical jutsu, like that female team mate that super pervert likes to talk about. Kurama stated as he formed himself. Tsunami gave a startled yelp, and Tazuna stared in shock. That's not a bad idea, Kakashi muttered, a thinking expression on his face. My ideas are always wonderful. The fox retorted. I'm going hunting. I'll be back in an hour or so, he said as he walked out of the house, using the doggy door to escape. Don't kill anyone, Naruto said flippantly. No guarantees was the faint reply they heard. Kakashi frowned. Is it a good idea to let him wander around like that? Naruto shrugged. Kurama will be fine. The white-haired teacher gave him a flat look. That wasn't what I was talking about, and you know it. Kurama wanders around Konoha all the time, besides for a few heart attacks, and some mild seizures. I don't think he's caused any real harm. You let him wander around Konoha. Yeah, he mostly keeps to the shadows, Naruto replied. With a shrug, Kakashi twitched. What's the big deal about letting him wander around? What is he anyways? You never really gave an explanation, Sakura asked. I'm not telling you to, Naruto replied. He didn't trust them. Kakashi-sensei, Sakura asked, looking at the teacher. Sorry, I can't tell you, he said with an eye smile. Why won't you tell us? Sasuke asked with a scowl at Kakashi. Did you say something? Kakashi asked, looking up from his book. Sasuke turned to glare at Naruto. With his Sharingan in his eyes, some people might call it intimidating. Tell me what that thing is, the boy demanded. To Naruto, though, who had seen Madara glaring at people, it was nothing. He wasn't going to say anything, but then Sasuke had called Kurama a thing, and that pissed him off. So Naruto snorted. Listen, Uchiha, not everything revolves around you, and I am really sick of your attitude. You must have taken after your brother, or something, because I know your father is a nicer man than you are, Naruto said scathingly. He was tired of Sasuke acting like he was the best just because he graduated at the top of his class, just because he was a Uchiha. He knew that Sasuke often tried to spy on team training grounds in order to copy and steal their work. Don't you dare compare me to that man, Sasuke yelled. Or what? Naruto questioned. Or I'll beat some sense into you, Sasuke growled. You can't try, Naruto retorted. No fighting inside, Kakashi said as Sasuke tried to leap across the table. Says Sakura says. Sakura glanced between the two as Naruto calmly got up and walked outside, and as Sasuke angrily stormed after him, she got up to follow them, but Kakashi shook his head at her. Don't. With how angry Sasuke is, he will probably use the fire jutsus he knows. You could get hurt if you follow them, he told her. But sensei, won't Naruto get hurt? He's the dead last. Kakashi looked at her and put his book down. You shouldn't think that the rankings in the academy mean anything. Naruto was the dead last because the academy was boring, and he never bothered with the assignments. Out of the three of you, Naruto is the strongest, and even if he learned nothing new, he could be stronger than me. All he lacks is experience. Sakura frowned. What do you mean? Well, Naruto has been training in various things since he was young. He knows a lot of different information, and various jutsus and taijutsu stances. He could have been a genin years ago if he decided to take an early graduation. If he had, he may even already be a Junin himself. But he decided to keep training, which while good has limited the experience he can gather. See, being a shinobi isn't just knowing a bunch of jutsus, it's knowing how to use what you know in a fight. That's why as a genin you're limited to D ranks, and C ranks. D ranks won't ever have fighting with another person, instead you have to learn how to deal with taking orders from a civilian. And as you found out, they can be really annoying. Sakura gave a nod to this. C ranks are meant to get you experience in a safer manner. Generally the only threat you're supposed to face is bandits. Of course, like with our mission, it is possible for things to go wrong. Once you are Chunin, then you have the responsibility of looking after your team members, and leading them. You will have to make decisions that could cost you your fellow shinobi lives if something goes wrong, or if you make the wrong decision. When you're a Chunin, you tend to take more C-rank missions, and if you're lucky you will be paired with a Jounin, or two to go on a B-rank mission. Once you're a Jounin you will take B ranks, and A-rank missions. By this point you have the experience, and you know how to lead, and what to do if situations go wrong. Most ninja will only become Chunin. At that point the weight of their decisions may break them, and they will quit being a ninja. Is being a ninja really so dangerous? Sakura asked. Yes, as Naruto said, it is our duty to complete missions, and if we die doing our mission, then we did our job. Ninjas aren't expected to live long lives. Most ninja never make it past 25. Sakura, though, over what she heard, was she strong enough to become a ninja? She knew she was the physically weakest amongst their team, and she had never really put much effort into the academy, only learning what was needed to pass. Her parents had warned her, but she didn't believe them. She was starting to realize that even with the academy changes, they were still sheltered from the truth of the shinobi world. Sakura didn't think she would ever be strong like Sasuke-kun or even Naruto. The boy seemed to know what being a ninja truly was, and he was ready to face it. She had never given much thought about the look in his eyes, but while he was often smiling or happy, sometimes she could see a hard look in them. Naruto was determined to succeed, Sakura realized. Oh, Naruto, a message. He and Sasuke finally arrived at an area far enough away from the house. Without saying anything, Sasuke's Sharingan activated, and he started to form hand seals. Naruto recognized them for the Great Fireball. Forming a single-hand seal, he put up a water wall before Sasuke even finished his last seal. Steam filled the area. That took care of Sasuke's vision range. He created a new Bunshin, and then hid himself in a tree. The steam finally dissipated and Naruto saw that Sasuke was finishing up a hand seal sequence. His clone dodged the spread of small fireballs. "Is that all you got, team?" his clone taunted. Sasuke charged at his clone, beginning a taijutsu match. Naruto watched in amusement as even against his clone Sasuke seemed to be struggling. Of course his clone was moving at Chunin speeds, and despite the fact the Sharingan was able to see him, he was unable to react fast enough. "I'll look at you trying to act all angry. You look so pitiful," his clone sneered. "Being a bit harsh, aren't you, Naru-chan?" Hashirama asked from next to him. "Maybe, but he needs to learn that just because he has the Sharingan it doesn't mean that he is invincible. Besides, I'm tired of him looking down on me just cause I never bothered in the academy." Naruto responded. "I think he deserves it," Madara told them. "Why, he is constantly belittling everyone else, and is further bringing shame to the clan Hashi-chan. What do you think Sasuke will do if Orochimaru does find a way into the Chunin exams? You know that the Snake Sanin plans on offering him power," Naruto whispered. Hashirama paused. "I'm not sure. I want to say that he wouldn't accept." He trailed off, a sad look on his face. "You don't think he will say no for sure?" Madara stated. Hashirama shook his head. The three watched as his clone took Sasuke down with taijutsu. Sasuke stood back up glaring. Naruto sighed, and jumped down from the tree, dismissing the clone. Sasuke stared in shock. "I was the dead last because the academy bore me. I won't have you thinking I'm weak. I won't stand for you insulting my dreams. And I definitely won't stand for you trying to demand answers out of me. Also, never refer to Kurama as a thing again. He is my friend. And I won't stand for you talking about him like that," Naruto growled out. "If I see you using anything I do without asking for my permission, because you stole them with your eyes, I will seal away your Sharingan." He left Sasuke standing there staring at him. The rest of the week passed with Hashirama checking on Zabuza and them training. Finally, as the end of the week drew to a close, Hashirama reported that Zabuza would be attacking the bridge in the morning. Naruto informed Kakashi, and the man cut their training off early. "Why are you stopping our training?" Sasuke asked. "I believe Zabuza will be attacking the bridge. We will need to be fully rested for tomorrow. Sakura, I want you to stay here with Tazuna and his family. Naruto, you will create a couple clones, and have them henge into the bridge builder, and Sakura tomorrow morning." "All right." Naruto agreed with a nod. They ate dinner, and then they fell asleep. Waking up the next morning, they went about their plan. They left heading towards the bridge. They arrived to see a few workers, who had arrived early, were dead. Standing there waiting for them was Zabuza and his accomplice. "Kakashi of the Sharingan, or do you prefer friend killer Kakashi?" Zabuza asked. "I prefer Sharingan, Kakashi," their sensei said lightly. But Naruto could see that he had tensed up a bit. Zabuza just looked at them. "I did a bit of research on your team. Besides, for you, your team consists of the last Uchiha, which I suppose the brats should have a bit of strength." Naruto noticed that Sasuke both seemed proud and angry at that. "But then you also have solid hand, Naruto. Slayer of the Wicked Eyes. You aren't in the bingo book. But you are in the red alert." The man commented, looking at him. Sasuke seemed confused as he heard this. "Yeah, I will be in the bingo book soon enough, I'm sure," Naruto stated with a deadpan. Zabuza chuckled. "With the legacy of being the son of not only the red-hot habanero, but also the yellow flash, I suspect that if you live past today you might indeed make it to the bingo books." "Red-hot habanero, yellow flash," Sasuke muttered to himself quietly. "Haku, take care of the brats. I'll take Kakashi myself." The false hunter Nin attacked them, and they defended themselves. Haku managed to trap them in a dome of ice mirrors. Naruto looked around. "Interesting. You have the Yuki bloodline," he commented. "Yes, I do." He saw Sasuke use a fire jutsu. "A weak fire like that won't do anything," the false hunter commented. Naruto frowned a bit. They were on the bridge, so his explosions were out. Plus it was to close quarters. Absent-mindedly he started dodging the needles Haku threw at them. Sasuke also started dodging them, his Sharingan flickering side to side. "Is this all you can do?" Naruto asked as he dodged more needles. "This is all I need to do. I do not want to kill you." Naruto deactivated his weights. With a flash of speed he punched Haku as the boy jumped across to another mirror. The mask cracked, and fell off. Naruto frowned at the young boy staring at him with wide eyes. "Please kill me," the boy said, looking at the ground. "What? Why?" Naruto asked, thrown of course from where he had been about to tie the boy up. "I am no longer useful to my master." "What just cause you lost?" Naruto asked as Sasuke came to stand next to him. "Yes." Naruto was about to say something when Hashirama looked up. There was a lot of people at the end of the bridge. Making a hand seal, he used air bullets to clear away the mist. They saw Kakashi standing there with a Chidori in his hand. and Zabuza trapped by a bunch of dogs. Beyond them though stood a large group of mercenaries, and at the front was a short squat man in a business suit. Gato, what is the meaning of this? Zabuza questioned looking at the man. The businessman then revealed his plan to kill them all and betray Zabuza, since he was so expensive. Well then Sharingan Kakashi, looks like we are no longer enemies, Zabuza said, and Kakashi released him. Haku, stop laying around, and prepare yourself. Yes Zabuza-sama, the boy said. Naruto, use a T1, Kakashi commanded. Without question, he pulled out the marble, and threw it. He noticed that they were about 300 feet away from the mercenaries. Katsu, Naruto said, a pyromaniac grin stretching across his face. A second later, and boom, the bridge shuddered a bit as the end of it was destroyed, taking with it the majority of the mercenaries being completely vaporized, and others with major burns. Kurama formed himself, and said, "Bravo, bravo. More, please." Everyone stared at the fox, and Kakashi facepalmed. What? Kurama questioned looking confused. It's nothing. They just aren't used to you being like a kid with a sugar high when it comes to anything destructive. Anyways, there won't be any more explosions. The fox just nodded, and dismissed himself. Kakashi and the two boys looked at the badly wounded Zabuza, and Haku, nice meeting you, but we will be taking our leave now. Our business is done, Zabuza stated. Kakashi just nodded. Zabuza, the civil war in Kiri ended about recently, the rebellion one, he stated. Zabuza looked at them. Really? Yes. Madarumi, I believe, is trying to get enough support to be got a Mizukage. Zabuza paused. How recently? You talking about? Kakashi gave a nice smile. A month or two ago. Damn. I had heard Konoha's spy network had upped its game. But that's impressive, he muttered. Anyways, enough chit-chat. We're out of here, Zabuza said, and with a swirl of water the two of them disappeared in a shunch. Are we really just letting them go? Sasuke asked. Of course. We are not at war with Kiri, and the Gade Mizukage has been putting out a couple of ninjas to look for the 7 swordsmen who might be willing to rejoin Kiri. Or if they are unwilling to rejoin, then they will be hunted down for their swords. This of course all very hush-hush, as the Mizukage isn't trying to bring attention to Kiri right now, Kakashi answered. Now let's get back to Sakura and the others and fix this bridge up. Went back to the house, and found it to be a mess. Items were broken, and there was blood on the ground. On the ground was 2 unfamiliar corpses. They heard the sound of sobbing and cautiously went towards sound. They saw Sakura crying, and being held by Tsunami, and Inari was hugging Tazuna, who was watching them as if he wasn't sure what he should do. What happened? We were attacked by those 2 thugs. They were planning on kidnapping me, but then they saw that father was here, and they tried to kill him. Sakura here managed to stop them, Tsunami answered quietly. Good job, Sakura, Kakashi said, going over to her. I know it's tough. Girl just sobbed. The day passed quietly with Kakashi letting Sakura cry until she passed out. He placed her into the room in order to sleep away what she had done. The next day they got to work on rebuilding the bit of bridge that blew up. 2 weeks passed with them guarding Tazuna while he finished the bridge. Finally it was done, and they left behind them. The bridge was named the Great Team 7 Bridge. As they went back to Konoha, Naruto was starting to become more anxious as it got closer and closer to December 5th. Even though the tournament didn't start till the 12th, he liked having plenty of time to get there. They came back to Konoha on December 6th around later evening. Let's go report to the Hokage. Hey, can't we wait till tomorrow? I'm tired. Kakashi shook his head at her. We're going now, Sakura. Period. They made their way over to the office and gave their report to Birama, and the Hokage were both giving displeased looks. We'll just be going now, Hashirama said with a sweat drop, as he started backing away. And where do you think you're going, Hashirama? To Birama asked. Away, Hashirama answered with a squeak, a guilty expression on his face. To Birama then started to give Hashirama a tongue lashing. When Madara tried to sneak out, to Birama turned to him. And you, Madara, I expected something like this from Hashirama, but you went along with it. Naruto was ignoring the tongue lashing his Gigi was giving Kakashi, which was somehow even worse than the one to Birama was giving. Naruto tried to blend into the floor, and he noticed that Sasuke and Sakura were staring at their embarrassed sensei with wide-eyed looks. And you, Naruto, to Birama said, turning to him. He gulped, and looked up at the expression on Birama's face. How could you be so irresponsible? You know that as soon as the client lies about the parameters of the mission, you are no longer required to continue the mission. Yet you continued on endangering your teammates. What would have happened had you dealt with an enemy that actually wanted to kill you and your teammates? Naruto looked down at the ground. He knew that they had gotten lucky, that Zabuza didn't actually care to kill them, and instead was only trying to kill Tazuna. Birama continued ranting at the 3 of them. Hashirama was by this point on the floor, with depression clouds over him. Madara wasn't looking to Birama in the eyes, and Naruto was trying to disappear by standing still. He noticed that his teammates were sending him odd looks, and he could guess why both he and Kakashi had the same being chastised expression on their faces. Yes, brother, Hashirama answered as Tobirama asked him if he understood. Do you understand me, Madara? And Tobirama questioned. With narrowed eyes, yes, Madara answered as he crossed his arms. Yes, Hokage-sama, Kakashi said despondently. Tobirama turned to him. Now I know that you're going on your vacation, Naruto the third said. Naruto turned to him, grateful to have an excuse to ignore Tobirama. I am tempted to prevent you from leaving on your vacation, but I suspect that if I did that you would find some way to go anyway, so instead, as punishment, the rest of your team is assigned to go with you, Gigi told him with a vindictive look. But Naruto immediately tried to protest. He didn't want Sasuke or Sakura to come with him. It's either take the rest of your team with you, or don't go on your vacation at all. The Hokage told him, fine, I guess they are to be my guards. Then Naruto questioned. He ignored Tobirama as the ghost put a hand on his shoulder, and was giving Hashirama a disapproving face. Yes, the Hokage answered and dismissed them. Come on, time to get going. What are you talking about, Naruto? Sakura asked confused. I am currently your client. You will be guarding me as we get to Iwa by the 11th, Naruto told them, and headed out, leaving the rest of them to catch up to him. As soon as they got to the gate, Naruto took off at high speeds. Your teammates are going to be left behind at this rate, Madara commented. If we go at their slow speed, we won't make it in time. They can consider this training, Naruto replied with a small smirk. He was already far enough ahead that they wouldn't hear him. Madara just snorted in amusement. Hashirama sighed. At least we won't have to deal with Tobirama's disapproving looks for a little while. Naruto shuddered as a cold feeling passed through him, and Tobirama appeared. Eep! Hashirama shouted. Madara twitched. What are you doing here, Tobirama-sensei? And Naruto asked hesitantly. I decided that to make sure you three don't do anything foolish, I will be coming along with you. How did you even get here? Tobirama looked smug and pointed to where he had put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. There on his shoulder was a Hiraishin tag. You can Hiraishin as a spirit? Naruto asked. So it seems. Tobirama glanced behind them, where off in the distance the rest of Team 7 was lagging behind. Any reason? You are moving faster than your team. Training them to move faster. Plus I need to get to the tournament on time. Tobirama just sighed. A few hours later, and he noticed Kakashi caught up with him, carrying an exhausted-looking Sasuke, and Sakura with him. Took you long enough, Kaka-sensei, Naruto teased with a grin. These two denied my offer, saying that they would catch up to you, Naruto snorted. What's that mark on your shoulder? Sakura asked. He blinked. What mark? There was no way she was able to see the Hiraishin mark. Was there? Kakashi looked at his shoulder, and his eyes widened slightly. Sakura pointed to the Hiraishin mark. Naruto faked looking surprise. You can't see that? I thought I did that in invisible ink. Must have grabbed the wrong bottle somehow, he said, looking at Kakashi, who seemed to realize what he was trying to convey. So what is that seal? Sakura asked after a few minutes had passed and Naruto hadn't said anything. None of your business, Naruto replied. Sakura gave a huff. You never answer our questions. Naruto frowned, trying to ignore her, but he knew that Sakura was smart enough to recognize the seal. Since Tobirama's Hiraishin was in the history books, along with Minato's, she did have what seemed to be a photographic memory. He saw her trying to get a better look at it, a puzzled look on her face as if trying to remember something. I have to go to the restroom. I'll be back in a minute. With that he detoured into the forest, and as soon as he was out of eyesight of his teammates, he pulled out his sealing supplies and drew a storage seal on it, praying that the two seals didn't react negatively to each other. Seals weren't meant to be put on top of each other like he was doing, but this the only way he could think to disguise it on quick notice. Finishing the seal, he did in fact go to the bathroom before heading back to his teammates, though as he started to walk back he frowned. Sakura will probably notice difference, but it should throw her off. Sasuke hasn't said anything much yet, which was a bit worrying. The prick seemed to become different after the fight the two of them had, thinking back to the mission that had gotten him into this mess in the first place. He wondered how Sakura had handled her first kill. It had to be tough. Even Naruto hadn't made his first kill yet, though he knew that at some point he would have. So as a ninja he made it back to his team, and they continued on towards Iwa. Though as he occasionally glanced towards the people he considered his family, he noticed that Tobirama seemed to be smirking at Madara and Hashirama every chance he got. After an hour of watching this, Naruto asked, what are you so smug about? My Hiraishin still works, at least for you. I have of course tried normal surfaces and people, but it seems it only works on us spirits. And you? Naruto pursed his lips together. This ability was getting stronger, and he wasn't entirely sure why. If it really had been because he had received Madara's eyes, then how was that affecting his other senses, and how he was able to interact with spirits? Even the filth had an effect on him, more than they would affect a normal person. Normal people weren't able to feel them at all, and the filth were only a real harm to the spirits, unless of course one gets strong enough to possess a human, which Naruto heard happened on occasion if it managed to stay alive long enough. He ignored Sakura as she continued trying to ask questions. He put on Uchiha expression number 4. I'm not going to answer your questions, so just shut up. She finally stopped pestering him after a few hours. Finally the fangirl shut up. Madara smirked as he added, Ibiki. Could probably use her as a new means of torture. Naruto nearly snickered in response. Hashirama sighed. And Tobirama glared. You really shouldn't talk about Naruto's teammates like that. Madara scowled. Why should I not say what I think? Besides, you know it is true you are just too much of a stickler to say it yourself. I am not a stickler. I just know better than to make comments that are rude and derogatory, especially when you are standing right next to the person you are talking about. Madara crossed his arms as he responded. The fangirl cannot even hear me. If I want to speak about how she is just a piece of trash, I will. Tobirama stared at Madara. His eyes narrowed into slits, and Naruto and Hashirama both started trying to edge away, which was a lot harder to do when you were running towards a destination. It was easy to tell what was coming, and the duo didn't want to be caught up in the argument. Just because she cannot hear you does not mean you have the right to speak down about her like that. She is one of Konoha's ninja. She should be given the same respect that all ninjas deserve. Madara smirked. But I am giving her the same respect I give all other ninjas except a select few, which is of course absolutely none. You should give our ninjas more respect. It's because of this attitude of yours that no one liked you and everyone thought you were a warmonger. Naruto glanced back and nearly froze as Madara's face turned to stone. With that he decided, now was not the time to be subtle, and broke into an outright run. How dare you! Madara. See that the young ninja knew exactly what Madara was doing as he felt a strange warm wind ruffle his hair. Though he knew his hair wasn't actually moving, but he could feel the breeze blowing through his hair. Madara had started casting jutsus. Why did you start moving at a faster speed? Kakashi asked beside him, as Sasuke and Sakura held on. Naruto gave him a look. Kakashi's sweat dropped. He knew that look well enough. All right. We're behind schedule, Kakashi said, with a nice smile. That and the fact we're fleeing for our lives before Tobirama and Madara can drag us into it, Hashirama said with a large sweat drop as the duo continued to hear the sounds of fighting. At least with you guys being spirits, the landscape won't get destroyed. Else Konoha would have been destroyed 100 times over. Naruto signed to both Hashirama and Kakashi. Kakashi gave Naruto an amused look. Hashirama gave a nod in agreement. After a couple hours of going at a high speed, the group slowed down to a more reasonable pace, which meant something that Sakura and Sasuke could keep up with. As night fell, the team quickly set up camp and fell asleep after setting up the watch schedule. The next day things were tense, as Tobirama and Madara kept glaring at each other. Well, it was tense for Naruto and Hashirama. Sakura and Sasuke just continued on oblivious. Kakashi at least seemed to realize that something was going on. Why are we going to Iwa anyways? Sakura asked, frowning as she said, Iwa? I'm going on vacation. Weren't you listening? Why would you want to go to Iwa though? Sasuke finally spoke up. He was scowling as he asked the question. Because I participate in a tournament that takes place there, and I have to go each year in order to keep my spot on the leaderboard, Naruto answered. Knowing they would have learned about that information anyways, they didn't need to learn what the tournament was about or anything else. Naruto scowled. He really didn't like the fact that Gigi had forced him to bring his teammates. He didn't trust them at all, especially Sasuke. Which was another thing. The third knew that trusting Sasuke with any sort of valuable information was risky. And while Naruto going to Iwa wasn't exactly a secret that could destroy Konoha, it was something that could create difficulties, especially if Sasuke angered the wrong person, and knowing the team as he did, Naruto just knew that something was bound to happen. What place would you have on the leaderboard? And what is the tournament? Sakura asked. That is for me to know and for you to try and find out. Kakashi-sensei, Sakura asked, turning to him who was currently reading Icha Icha, and not paying attention to them while he could also be pretending to ignore them. That was an option, as well. Naruto rolled his eyes as he noticed Madara standing behind Kakashi, and that Hashirama and Tobirama was sending disapproving looks, decided that reading would be a good idea, and so opening one of his seals he pulled out the book about blood seals, looking into the next seal structure for the Hiraishin, which is the start of how the Hiraishin can actually move people. This seal breaks down people into their base molecules. This is paired with a few other seals of course, but for now I will only work on this one, and the one to reassemble a person, or animal, or any object this seal is applied to. It wouldn't be smart to test this on myself or another person, and find out that I messed up. The first thing I did was check to see if using the seal alone worked. Of course it didn't. And seeing as this is a completely original seal with nothing coming close to being similar that I have found, I will have to figure out how to work it from scratch. I know that the chakra location seal connects to act as a beacon for the molecules once they have traveled. I also found a chakra lock, I suppose as yet another security feature. As I study the seal, I can see now that the Nidaime was quite paranoid, adding multiple security measures, and dead seals. Naruto noticed that several pages seemed to be ripped out before the next page. I have taken time to deconstruct and reconstruct seal multiple times before I have managed to make it work. It has taken me a month of work, and for safety reasons I have destroyed my thoughts and theories, as if anyone was to discover how to make this seal, who is an enemy to Konoha, the results would not be good. Even with only this part of the Hiratian seal, they could use it for different purposes. No, now I can see why Tobirama was so paranoid. In fact, I will have to make sure when I am finished to add several decoys, and perhaps even make it so the individual seals are layered underneath the disguise seal, so that those looking at my seal will have another step to go through. I have no doubt that if the seal had existed when Tobirama had been alive, he would have used it. Once I am done with this, I should make sure it is secured, or destroyed. That was it. As Minato had written, there was no theories, no thoughts on how it can work. At least Naruto could have a side-by-side view of Tobirama's and Minato's. As Naruto looked at them, he realized that this was going to take a lot of time. The seal was complicated, and it had layers and sublayers, and what seemed to be seals that were stacked together. Unfortunately, other than think about theories, there wasn't much he could do to work on it at the moment. But at least now he can start on deciphering what was needed, and see about rebuilding his own. As the second day of the trip drew to a close, Hashirama sighed in boredom as he had nothing to do. Tobirama was watching the group, and smirking as he watched Naruto working on how to figure out a seal. Madara and Kakashi were both reading Icha Icha. Sasuke was glaring at everything, and Sakura was trying to make conversation with no success. It was with this that the group made ready to camp for the second day of their journey. Sakura's POV. It was their second day of traveling to Iwa, and Sakura was thinking about the recent events. First, back in Wave, she had made her first kill. Kakashi hadn't been comforting, offering false promises, or lying about it getting easier to deal with. He instead told her that this was what they did as a ninja. He told her that he remembered his first kill, and sometimes he still dreamt about it. He told her that as a ninja she would be expected to kill. He told her to think about what that meant and if she really wanted to continue being a ninja. So for the rest of the time they were there in Wave, she was thinking, but she couldn't make up her mind. She wanted to be able to protect her comrades, to be worthwhile. But the idea of killing people was horrible. She didn't want to kill anyone else. She wanted to protect people, to heal them, not hurt them, which reminded her of what that weird fox that occasionally popped up said, that she should learn medical jutsus. So she decided that when they got back into Konoha, she would see about signing up to be a medic. Only when they got back, Naruto seemed to be getting more and more fidgety, and Kakashi decided they were going to report immediately. She had protested, but he seemed adamant about them reporting soon, and she noticed him glancing at Naruto. So they went to the Hokage's office and started to give the report. As Kakashi progressed, the Hokage was sending displeased looks. It was shocking to see their near unflappable sensei suddenly seem embarrassed and ashamed. She glanced at Naruto as she caught him flinching, and his expression shifted to one that matched Kakashi's as he seemingly tried to blend into the floor. It was confusing though. Why would he be doing something like that? Hokage-sama wasn't scolding him. He looked as if he was being chastised, but she couldn't see anyone chastising him. Finally though, the Hokage seemed to be done scolding their sensei, and turned to Naruto. She watched as Naruto shifted his attention to him, and seemed to relax a little bit, at least until the Hokage told him his rules for allowing the boy to go on the vacation. This seemed to upset Naruto as he made it clear he didn't want them with him, and then they were immediately heading out again, straight onto another mission, only this time Naruto was their client. He let them make a brief stop at their home to gather supplies, and then they met up at the gate and he took off at high speeds, leaving them behind. She and Sasuke ignored Kakashi's offer to carry them to catch up. She didn't know Sasuke's thoughts, but for her she felt as if he was leaving them behind. He had always been the weird dead last, but now Kakashi was telling her that he was the strongest of them. It didn't make sense to her how he was so strong. The only people she had seen him hang around was that weird bug boy and the shy Hyuga girl. Eventually though, she stumbled and fell in exhaustion as she pushed herself to catch up with the boy who was only getting further and further away. Kakashi picked her up and carried her, keeping pace with Sasuke until he collapsed as well. With Kakashi carrying both of them, he picked up his speed and soon caught up with Naruto. The two started bantering, but a mark on Naruto's shoulder caught her attention. She hadn't noticed it before, but it seemed familiar, so she questioned him about it. Then he made some excuse of it being invisible ink, but she suspected he was lying or hiding the truth as he glanced at Kakashi. He was hiding something, and Kakashi's sensei knew what it was. She tried to press him for the answer, but he brushed her off. So instead she decided to try and get a closer look. She felt as if she should know what the seal was. He noticed her looking at it and made an excuse to go to the restroom. When he came back the seal was different. He said nothing, and she stopped trying to bug him about it. They continued on at a fast speed, Kakashi carrying the two of them without complaint, but she kept watching Naruto. Another hour or so passed, and he seemed to be thinking about something as his lips went into a thin line. Occasionally she asked him about something she had noticed him doing, but he never answered her. Eventually his face hardened, and she could swear that he looked like a Uchiha in that moment. The face was one she saw on Sasuke whenever she asked him questions that he never answered. So she finally stopped trying to ask questions. It became clear that he didn't want to talk to them, that he didn't trust them. Yet she continued watching and noticed his eyes glance to the side, and he suddenly seemed amused. A minute later, and he seemed to sweat drop, even though he was still amused. Suddenly he started picking up his speed slightly, and almost seemed to be nervous as he glanced to the side. Another few seconds and he almost seemed wary as he glanced back. She caught a brief expression of panic on his face before he started running even faster, almost looking as if he was running for his life. Kakashi questioned him about why he started moving faster and Sakura watched him give a stare, as if conveying some hidden meaning. Kakashi chuckled, and gave an eye grin as he responded, "Oh right. We're behind schedule." If Sakura hadn't been paying so much attention to Naruto she would have missed his hands becoming a blur. Blinking she turned to Kakashi who suddenly seemed amused. Was Naruto and Kakashi communicating silently? Why not just say it out loud? Finally after a couple hours Naruto and Kakashi slowed down to a pace that she and Sasuke could keep up with. Night fell, and they had gone to sleep, and the next day she asked why they were going to Iwa. She didn't expect an answer if she was honest. Plus, why Iwa? The two villages hated each other with a passion. Sasuke finally asked, and Naruto sighed, and answered, which made her curious about what sort of tournament that he would have a spot on the leaderboard. Despite what Kakashi said he wasn't that good of a ninja since he lacked actual experience, at least according to Kakashi. But once again, he refused to answer. Kakashi was also ignoring them reading that perverted book of his. Naruto seemed to roll his eyes as he saw Kakashi reading, and he pulled out a book from one of his many seals, and ignored all of her attempts to start a conversation. It was as if he didn't hear her. Finally the day came to an end, and Sakura hoped the next day would be better. So begun the next day with the group continuing on, by Kakashi picking them up, and moving at high speed since they apparently were moving too slow. She watched as soon trees started to fade away and more rocks came into view. Then her attention went to Naruto when he pulled an item out of his seal, and wrapped it around his arm. It was an Iwa headband, but it looked a bit different than a normal one. Confused she decided to ask about that. Why do you have an Iwa headband, Naruto? He glanced at her, and seemed to be wondering whether to answer or not before he finally sighed. I am an honorary Iwa genin. Have been for a few years. He held a hand stalling her before she could start asking questions. It basically means that I can come and go in their village without security constantly watching me. I'm not allowed to know any of their important village secrets. Anything a genin could know I would be allowed to know. How did you become an honorary Iwa ninja? Naruto seemed to take a moment to remember. I won a tournament without losing any of the rounds. Sakura blinked. It must be some tournament then. The blonde-haired boy chuckled. Oh, it is. She looked over to see Sasuke glaring at Naruto. So they let anyone participate in the tournament then? The boy asked, though it sounded a bit demanding. Naruto's somewhat pleasant expression instantly went away as he glared back at Sasuke, his expression colder and more scary than Sasuke's. Of course not. If you are not an Iwa resident, then someone has to sponsor you. Who would sponsor an idiot like you? Sasuke scornfully questioned. Sakura glanced worriedly between the two boys. After Naruto had beaten Sasuke, he seemed to become more withdrawn from them, and was constantly glaring at Naruto, as if he blamed the blonde for something. Suddenly Naruto was giving an annoying-looking smirk as he said, Oji-san sponsored me. Your uncle is an Iwa resident? Kakashi snorted, and glanced at Naruto, as if he was asking something. Naruto just gave a nod. His uncle isn't just an Iwa resident, he is the Iwa resident, better known as the Tsuchikage. Her eyes went wide at that information, and she blurted out, but don't you call Hokage-sama your grandfather? Yeah, the old man was always there for me, and Oji-san told me to call him that mostly to annoy Gigi. Naruto answered with a shrug. Whoa. She spoke, not really knowing what to say to that. They were still a couple days out from Iwa, but she and Sasuke tensed as they saw a shadow coming in, at fast speed straight towards them. Naruto-kun. Sakura was shocked to see the wide grin come across Naruto's face, as he gave a happily shouted Deidara in the eye. In front of them a large white bird landed, and down jumped an older blonde boy who looked surprisingly like Naruto. The two of them hugged, and Deidara affectionately ruffled Naruto's hair. How are you doing? Did you become a genin? Who are these people with you? Have you managed to make a T4? Oh, hello Kakashi. Deidara rambled on a bit. Sakura watched as Naruto grinned. Yeah, I am now a genin of Konoha. This is my team. Team 7 led underneath Kakashi, the broody boy is Sasuke Uchiha, and the pink-haired girl is Sakura Haruno. I am ready to test out the T4s. Hello Deidara, have you managed to get shape transformation down? Kakashi asked, glancing up from his book. The blonde boy beamed, yeah. Check it out. Then he made a hand sign, and the birds started flying up into the air. Katsu, the older boy shouted, and Sakura watched in shock as the bird exploded into magnifique-looking blue firebird that seemed continue flying for a little bit before it seemed to collapse. So beautiful, Naruto murmured, a happy grin on his face. The two boys grinned at each other, and as one they said, art is an explosion. Undadabayo. She watched as the two laughed, and felt a pang of envy. Naruto was their teammate, yet he seemed to get along better with the boy from Iwa than either of them. Sasuke seemed to scowl as he snapped out, explosions are not art. Naruto seemed to look horrified at this, and Deidara muttered, begone foul demon. Period. What kind of Uchiha are you that you do not like explosions? Naruto demanded, his posture changing. He seemed taller, more imposing and menacing. His arms were crossed, and he was scowling. She shivered at the look. Sakura didn't understand why, but sometimes Naruto acted like a completely different person. She noticed that Kakashi just seemed to sigh and give a fond look to Naruto. You're not even Uchiha. What would you know about my clan? Sasuke growled out. Naruto just gave an arrogant smirk. More than you ever will. Sasuke growled, and tried to punch Naruto, who easily dodged to the side, looking as if he wasn't putting in any effort. Naruto's face then blanked a bit as he looked down at Sasuke. You Uchiha always think you are so superior, just because of your bloodline. Kakashi shook his head. Naruto, Sasuke, enough of that. Once again Naruto shifted, beaming happily. Of course Kaka-sensei. Sasuke just scowled. Sakura couldn't help but to worry. The more they learned about their blonde teammate, the more the boy seemed to become angry. She wasn't the top kunoichi for no reason. She had noticed that occasionally the boy seemed to get this unhinged look in his eyes. It was worrying, and the more time she spent around the boy, the more negative qualities she could see in him. Like when they had taken a babysitting mission, Sasuke had brushed off and ignored the kid the entire time. He had even insulted the kid, calling him a worthless brat. They would have failed the mission if it hadn't been for Naruto. He seemed to radiate kindness and protection in that moment, and had comforted the boy, making the kid laugh. Still, due to Sasuke's actions, Kakashi saw fit to not give them any more babysitting missions. It had kinda ruined her dreams of him being a wonderful father to their children. But there was still a large part of her that hoped he had just been having a bad day, that when they were older he would be better. He had such a tragic history, with his clan having been murdered, so it only made sense to her that he wouldn't really know how to deal with other people. These were her thoughts as the group continued on to Iwa, Deidara now walking alongside them. Sensei, me and Deidara are going to fly up overhead for a bit, Naruto stated after a couple minutes of the two doing some light chatting. Alright, keep within sight though. Deidara pulled out a little bird figurine, and it grew in size, to the same as the one she had seen earlier. The two boys leapt onto its back, and flew overhead. How could Naruto stand to be on it after watching it explode? Wasn't he worried that it would explode with them on it? The rest of the day passed with Naruto and Deidara on the strange bird. They seemed to be chatting about what she couldn't tell. When they stopped to rest for the night, the two boys slept in the same tent as Deidara apparently didn't have one. Tomorrow he said they would just use his birds to get to Iwa faster. Apparently because she and Sasuke were so slow, Naruto was seriously behind schedule. Sakura felt so useless. Both Naruto and Sasuke were so strong, and she was so weak. But to Naruto both of them were weak, and he clearly appreciated the Iwa Junin's company more. The next day Sasuke and Kakashi were on one bird, while Naruto and Deidara were on another. Half a day later, and their bird dropped down in front of the gates. Naruto and I will be ahead. I'm sure you can find us. Kakashi, Deidara said with a wave as he and Naruto went right on in. Why didn't he just let us in as well? Sakura asked. We are foreign shinobi, so we have to sign in, and then we will be under constant watch, Kakashi answered as he started filling in some paperwork from the gate guards. Why was Naruto allowed? And then, Naruto-sama is always welcomed in Iwa. One of the gate guards answered her. Naruto-sama, she repeated in disbelief. Even if she was beginning to see that Naruto wasn't the idiot dead last, it was strange to hear someone call him that. The gate guard just smirked, and then they were in. He said nothing, and she stopped trying to bug him about it. They continued on at a fast speed, Kakashi carrying the two of them without complaint, but she kept watching Naruto. Another hour or so passed, and he seemed to be thinking about something as his lips went into a thin line. Occasionally she asked him about something she had noticed him doing, but he never answered her. Eventually his face hardened. and she could swear that he looked like Uchiha in that moment. Sasuke's POV, he looked up at the ceiling of the hotel room, wincing as he slowly sat up. He was still sore from the training Deidara had given him. He huffed, still angry that even with his Sharingan, he had been unable to beat that blonde bomb lover. Not only that, but Deidara and Naruto seemed like such good friends. Why was Naruto friends with that loser? I had Naruto picked to be friends with that bug boy instead of him. His father had been no help when he had asked many years ago, saying something useless, that people could have a lot of friends. He didn't need friends, but it would have been nice to have Naruto fight by his side. Blonde idiot was strong. Why did Naruto have that strength? Why was he so strong? Sasuke should be the stronger one. He should be the one with the power. He needed the strength to take vengeance on his brother, to punish him for the crimes against his clan. Instead, Naruto, with all the power, he could create those strange bombs, and had that large weapon, the gunbei. Naruto was no slouch with taijutsu, or even ninjutsu. How could Naruto learn all of that? Was it simply because the Hokage favored him? Was there some other reason Naruto could be so strong? How was it that Naruto could use a gunbei? Sasuke hadn't even heard of that weapon outside of the stories that had been told to him by his father, stories told of the clan from generation to generation. Sasuke didn't really believe some of the tales, though figuring them too exaggerations. After all, it was unlikely that one man could defeat an entire village. Sasuke shook his head, trying to refocus his thoughts. He wanted to know how Naruto could be so powerful. Was it perhaps because of this chakra mutation that Kakashi had told him about? Sasuke wasn't sure if he believed what the lazy sensei told him, that people could be born with a second source of chakra, that this mutation could become a bloodline if it was passed on, that the Shodai's Makudan was not in fact a bloodline, but a mutation. That was probably the most unbelievable information of all. Sasuke had never even seen this other chakra Naruto supposedly had. Then again, Naruto was pretty secretive. He didn't tell them anything unless he had to. Sasuke got up and started getting ready. Today Naruto would be doing whatever that tournament was. Kakashi mentioned last night it was unlikely they would be able to see it, so they would have to figure out what to do for the day. As he exited the room, he saw Sakura exit hers as well. She smiled at him and instantly was by his side, though she remained silent, sending him a worried glance, probably due to the fact he was scowling. What was this tournament that Naruto won, supposedly without losing any rounds? He tried to figure out how Naruto could participate in it, but the blonde had just glared at him and told him that a non-resident needed a sponsor. Of course Sasuke couldn't believe that anyone from Iwa would sponsor Naruto. He wasn't liked in Konoha, so why would a foreign village, one known for hating Konoha, like Naruto? Naruto had smirked in an almost Uchiha-like way as he told them that his uncle sponsored him. Of course Kakashi then had to tell them it was that Tsuchikage that Naruto called his uncle. It just wasn't fair. Naruto was on a familial basis with so many powerful people, and then that other blonde idiot had made his appearance. Sasuke growled at remembering Naruto shouting Deidara ni, how the two of them did like brothers. Kakashi even seemed to know the boy as he asked him about shape transformation resulting in the bird the boy had been traveling on to explode into a blue firebird. It had been impressive, but Sasuke was in no way going to let the others know that. Then the two idiots went on about the explosion being art, laughing and smiling. It irked him. How could they be so happy and carefree? He couldn't take seeing Naruto being so happy with the other boys, so he snapped at them. Explosions are not art. He got twin looks of horror from the two as Deidara uttered, "Begone foul demon." Sasuke gritted his teeth, glaring at the older blonde. How dare he call him a demon? Then Naruto seemed to shift. Sasuke had seen this a few times before, how the blonde seemed to change and almost become someone else. He suspected that the blonde had multiple personality disorder. Naruto straightened his back from his more relaxed posture, and he crossed his arms and scowled as he questioned, "What kind of Uchiha are you that you do not like explosions?" His tone was condescending and scolding, as if Naruto knew what being a Uchiha was like. And Sasuke didn't. Sasuke growled, "You're not even a Uchiha of that." Sasuke was sure. "What would you know about my clan?" he demanded to know, only for Naruto to smirk arrogantly. And now that Sasuke thought about it, that smirk did seem like a Uchiha smirk. Naruto gave him a smug look as he taunted, "More that you ever will." He couldn't let that insult slide, of course, and so he tried to punch the infuriating boy, who sidestepped easily. It didn't even take the boy any effort. Sasuke watched as the blonde seemed to shift again, and his face blanked, revealing no emotions despite the other boy being a couple centimeters shorter. Sasuke got the impression that Naruto was looking down at him as he spoke in a matter-of-fact tone. "You Uchiha always think you are so superior just because of your bloodline." Sasuke was about to retort when Kakashi told him to stop. Naruto just beamed happily. It annoyed him that Naruto could get away with insulting his clan. Kakashi didn't even try and scold him for it, but Kakashi had scolded him when Naruto had been up on that bird with Deidara. Kakashi had been telling him to calm down and to stop being so antagonistic. Do you have any idea what the tournament could be? Sasuke-kun, Sakura asked him as they wandered around. No, he answered her, scowling again. Why did Naruto get such special treatment? Naruto-kun must be pretty strong to be the champion of the tournament. Sakura mused out loud. Sasuke scoffed. He's not that strong. Sasuke knew he was lying. He just didn't want to believe that the dead last could be so strong, though he knew the boy was. Sasuke just didn't understand how he had been friends with Naruto before Naruto had picked to be friends with that bug boy instead of him. Sasuke had known, even back then, that Naruto was stronger than his status as dead last indicated. It still made no sense to him that Naruto wouldn't reveal how strong he was to the class, to stop the others from teasing him and bullying him over the fact he was the clanless dead last. They saw his inability to do the bunshin and the weird muted henges he did, and thought Naruto was weak. Are you talking about Naruto-sama? An Iwa ninja asked them with a curious tilt of his head. Sakura nodded. The Iwa ninja seemed to be judging them before he grinned. Naruto-sama is really strong. That's why he is the reigning champion of the tournament for the past 5 years, beating even Sasuke-sama. Sasuke shook his head in disbelief. How can the dope beat a cage? Aren't they supposed to be strong? Sakura frowned at him, but he ignored her. The Iwa ninja, who had a scar on his cheek, grinned at them. So you think you can do better? He scoffed in response. Of course he could do better. All right then, how about a little deal? I will sponsor you in the tournament so you can get a chance to beat Naruto. If one of you win against him, I will give the both of you 5 jutsu scrolls each. Sasuke raised an eyebrow, interested. And if we lose? He questioned. Of course he wouldn't lose, but it was still better to know the terms before agreeing. If you lose, you will suffer public humiliation. That didn't sound that bad. Very well then, I agree. The Iwa ninja smirked. And what about you? He questioned, looking at Sakura. She hesitated. You both won't need to beat him. Only one of you with both of you and you have a higher chance to beat him. All right then. She finally agreed after glancing at Sasuke. Wonderful. My name is Asusukura. I will be your sponsor. Follow me. With that, they guy led them to a large stadium. This stadium is where we host the tournament. It is also where we host the Chunin exams when it comes time for us to do so. The group walked in, and Sasuke saw many ninjas and civilians milling about. Looking around, he saw Naruto and Kakashi speaking with an old man who wore the Tsuchikage hat. Asusukura led them over to the man, and quickly they were signed up. You made a bet to win against me? Naruto asked them, shocked before he laughed. You guys are going too loose. Sasuke snorted. Naruto smirked. Do you even know what the tournament is? This tournament is one of the most fierce competitions. Desperation and fear are common emotions to feel if you're not strong enough. This competition could break your spirit, Deidara told them after Sakura shook her head. Sasuke rolled his eyes, thinking them to be overdramatic. Naruto scoffed at them before turning to Inoki. I'm going to defeat you once more, old man. Usual bet. Inoki grumbled, but nodded. Hello, and welcome. It is once more time for the formal annual tournament. Non-competitors, please make your way to the stands. All competitors, please find a seat at one of the tables. With that, people started moving. Sasuke noticed that Inoki and Naruto sat at different tables, while Kakashi went up to take a seat in the stands. With a shrug, Sasuke went to sit at a more central table, and Sakura went to a corner table. A few minutes later, the announcer came back on. As you all know, we have Solid Hand Naruto, Slayer of Wicked Eyes, here to keep his place as the reigning champ of Janken. Fallen King Inoki will once more hope that Solid Hands loses a single hand, so Naruto-sama is forced to forfeit due to their yearly bet. But this year we also got a grudge match between Kuratsuchi and Deidara. Deidara is looking to regain his title as third place winner, which Kuratsuchi took in the last semi-formal match. We also have Naruto-sama's teammates Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Hiruno joining us this year. With them being so close with Solid Hand Naruto, it makes one wonder if they will display any of the talent that Solid Hand Naruto displays. But before we can witness these sure to be spectacular matches, we have to start from the bottom. Remember, cheating is allowed so long as you don't get caught. Let's start this party with round 1, 5 rounds of 50 hands. Begin. Sasuke was shocked. All of this drama over Janken. He turned to face his opponent and started to play. He would win this easily. He beat his opponent, but he still lost a few hands. If what the announcer said was true, then Naruto didn't lose a single hand, and if he did, then he had to forfeit. Round 2 came quickly, and it was now 5 rounds of 100 hands. When the third round started, there were a little more than 80 people from what Sasuke noticed. As we prepare to enter the third round, the Wheel of Additions is being set up. For those unaware, since this is the annual tournament in which the 10 best players must contest against everyone else on fair footing, there is an extra rule in place. The wheel will be spun each round until there is an uneven amount of contestants left. The wheel was set up next to the announcer, who spun the wheel. The wheel clicked rapidly for a minute, until it started to slow down. Click, click, click. Alright, the wheel has declared that dogs, cats, and chickens will be added into the arena. There shall be a 10-minute break while we gather up the animals. Contestants are not allowed to leave the arena. 10 minutes passed by in stiffness, as the atmosphere quickly became tense as competitors glared at each other. Sasuke turned to glance at Naruto, and saw him with his arms crossed sneering at the few who glared at him. When someone glanced at him without glaring, Naruto would just smirk, seemingly smug about his position. Soon, though the animals were brought in and released, it was a gathering of more animals than Sasuke could ever remember seeing. There seemed to be hundreds of dogs and cats. Now with the animals, the third round will be 5 rounds of 100 hands. Begin, and with that they started. Everything seemed calm for a couple minutes. But then animals started to get rowdy as they fought each other, chased each other. Some people started to be disqualified early for missing the time to show the hand position. Eep! Get off of me, he distantly heard Sakura screech, her voice managing to be heard over the symphony of hisses, and howls, meows, and barks. A flash of pink caught his vision, and he saw her looking upset as she left to the stands following another disqualified person. He scoffed as he threw out scissors. How pathetic that she lost in the stupid tournament. It was easy to figure out his opponent's style and strategy. It didn't take too much longer for the round to end. Alright, with 41 contestants remaining, we will now change to a 1v1 knockout style. 2 names will be randomly selected. If you lose, you are out, but if you win, your name will be placed back in the drawing bag. This means that some might be called multiple times, and others not at all, as we eliminate people, until there is only 10 people remaining. This is the humiliation round, which means that if you lose, the wheel of humiliation is spun, and the loser will face whatever punishment the wheel dictates. Of course, a person may instead forfeit a match if they don't want to risk losing. Names were called, and Sasuke noticed that most people choose to forfeit after a stare down at their opponent instead of fighting them. Sasuke couldn't understand why even after a few people lost, the punishments didn't seem too bad to him. One was as simple as a person dyeing their hair, another had to dress as a chicken, and act like one for a while. It didn't escape his notice that the crowd seemed disappointed and the losers relieved. Perhaps it meant they got off lightly then. Sasuke's eyes narrowed as Naruto's name was finally called against some other ninja named Asasukura. Damn, just my luck, Sasuke heard the man grumble. He saw that Naruto seemed amused as he chuckled. I assume you want to forfeit, the man nodded. Ain't no way that I'm going to suffer humiliation. If I thought I had a chance of winning, I would risk it. But not against you. Solid hand winner by forfeit. Solid hand, Naruto. The announcer called out before a few more rounds went, most forfeiting. Alright, and our next contestants are Kuratsuchi the Sublime, and Uchiha, Sasuke. So he walked up to the central table. An older teenager, about 16, walked up confidently. Her hair was short and framed her face. Her black eyes glinted as she looked down at him. You should just forfeit. You have no chance against me. I have held a spot in the top 10 for the past 6 years. He glared at her in response, even as he observed her trying to work out what kind of player she would be. She seemed to wear what he assumed was the standard Iwa attire, as he had seen others wearing similar clothes. A red uniform with the right sleeve missing, and the brown Iwa flak jacket. As if I would let some female beat me. Sasuke didn't know what prompted him to say that, but he hated the way she was looking at him as if he was nothing. He gritted his teeth. No one ever saw him as someone who was strong. They all thought he was weak. Itachi, Naruto. He would become stronger than both of them. He would prove them wrong. He was strong. Kuratsuchi glared at him. Just for that I'm going to make you suffer. With that the two began a fierce battle, both winning and losing at an equal rate, which seemed to frustrate her. Hand after hand they played, and Sasuke was unable to find any pattern to her movement. At first it seemed that she focused heavily on paper and rock. But then she switched to more paper and scissors. Then scissors and rock. There was no telling what moves she was going to make next. If only he could use his Sharingan, then he would be able to beat her and Naruto. Unfortunately, that would be considered obvious cheating. He barely managed to win the first round, as it was 51-49. The next round Kuratsuchi managed to win, 51 to his 44. As soon as someone hit 51, the round was over, even if there were still hands to be played. Sasuke growled in frustration, and Kuratsuchi smirked as she won the third round. You're going down, emo brat. He managed to win the fourth round, and it was tied 2-2. All he needed to do was win this last round, and he would be closer to his goal of beating Naruto. He narrowed his eyes in concentration. He was not going to lose. Kuratsuchi chuckled. Are you scared yet? Duck, but Sasuke felt as if his teeth would break from how hard they were gritted together. He glared at her hatefully as they played the final round. He won, he lost, he won, he lost. Back and forth they went, hand after hand, until it was 49-50 in her favor. This was the final hand. If he could win this, he could tie it up, and they would do another round. If she won then he lost and would have to go through with the humiliating punishment. As the referee called out the words he decided to go rock. He pushed his fist out at the same time as she did, and he watched as she unfurled her fingers into paper. He had lost, and the winner is Kuratsuchi the Sublime. There was a loud cheer, and the announcer waited a moment for it to die down. Alright, let us see what is Sasuke Uchiha's punishment for losing. The announcer gave the wheel. Hard spin. CLCLCLCLCL click 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 click. Sasuke saw the wheel land on an obnoxiously pink slice of the wheel, and Sasuke will be undergoing the humiliation of Pinkie Pie. Giggle at the ghostly. He heard a few mutters of confusion and a few chuckles. Then he heard Naruto guffawing loudly. Please give us a minute to set up the humiliation, the announcer spoke, and a couple Iwa ninjas dragged him away. Use your Sharingan and memorize this, an Iwa ninja commanded, playing a small video with lyrics. Sasuke turned his Sharingan on and watched. Then he paled in horror. I have to sing that, he questioned. The Iwa ninja smirked. You also will have to dress up, and then do a dance, as well. Another ninja came in holding the clothes. Time for you to change. Do I have to? Sasuke complained. Yes, this is the punishment. There is no other way. Face your punishment with dignity, Sasuke whimpered as he got dressed in the dress, which was mostly pink with some white and a few other colors. The top half was white with purple lining, and had a pink heart in the middle of it. Around the waist was a purple bow, and then the bottom of the dress puffed out. It was also pink, but on the side there were 3 balloons, 2 blues and 1 yellow in the center. Then he had to wear a blue top which had sleeves halfway to his elbows, and a blue bracelet on each of his wrists. Underneath was white stockings and tall blue boots with white ribbons and pink bows. Then for the final touch they pinned a hot pink wig onto his hair. The hair was long and curly and floofy. For the dance, do what Pinkie Pie did, though you don't have to be on your hands and feet. You only have to sing Pinkie Pie's lines. You ready? The guy asked after another couple minutes. No, Sasuke grumbled, crossing his arms. Too bad, it's time. With that he walked out onto the stage, which had been transformed to look like the forest that had been in the video he watched. And now it is time for Uchiha, Sasuke, to face his punishment for losing. He will be performing as Pinkie Pie for the song Giggle at the Ghostly. Someone end me now, Sasuke thought as he tried to not blush in embarrassment and failing horribly. He heard the music start end, so gritting his teeth, he started to sing the stupid song. If he was forced to do this he was not going to put any inflection in his voice. When I was a little filly and the sun was going down. Tell me he's not, Naruto said, filling in the next line with a chuckle. Already he could hear people snickering. He winced as he started to move a little in a poor imitation of a dance. He knew he looked more like he was stomping his feet in protest. He didn't care. The darkness and the shadows, they would always make me frown. He winced as he heard Sakura fill in the next line. He is. It seems that they got his teammates to fill in the other roles of this ridiculous song. I'd hide under my pillow from what I thought I saw, but Granny Pie said that wasn't the way to deal with fears at all, he stated rather than sung as he pranced around the stage looking at the various trees. Kakashi turned a page of his book. Then what is he? Inwardly was sobbing. Why was he having to suffer this? It was all Naruto's fault. She said, Pinkie, you gotta stand up tall. Learn to face your fears. You'll see that they can't hurt you. Just laugh to make them disappear. Sasuke stopped his inane dancing in front of a tree. Ha, 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 he stated blandly. With a small poof the scary face disappeared. He rolled his eyes as he had already seen that they were using a jinjutsu to place the face on the fake tree. Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi all gave out a small gasp of pretend shook. So giggle at the ghostly, guffaw at the grossly, crack up at the creepy, whoop it up with the weepy, chortle at the kooky, snortle at the spooky, he monotoned as he continued to do the stupid prancing around the stage. Please, if anyone has any mercy end me now, he silently begged in his mind. Finally though it was time for the last part of the stupid song. And tell that big dumb scary face to take a hike, and leave you alone, and if he thinks he can scare you then he's got another thing coming, and the very idea of such a thing just makes you wanna, he sighed, and gave the most deadpan laugh he could. Ha, he finally stopped the dancing, and faced the audience as he said the last word. Laugh. The crowd broke out into rancorous laughing, and people cheered. Sasuke walked as quickly as he could without making it seem like running back to the changing room, and put on his regular clothes. It was as he was making his way to sit next to Sakura and Kakashi in the audience stand that he remembered he had lost the bet. He would have to suffer through some other punishment. He groaned as he sat down next to Sakura, who gazed down at Naruto worried. Others forfeited and some lost, and a couple people had to suffer their own horrible unspeakable punishments that were nearly as bad as his. After another half hour, thought there remained only 10 people, Naruto among them, as was Deidara, Inoki, and that female Kuratsuchi that he fought against. It is now time for the ranking. To start, the final 10 will each draw numbers to show where you are currently ranked. After that, the 10 people will challenge each other until they are either satisfied with their spot, or 30 minutes have passed. It will be 3 rounds of 10 hands. After the half hour has passed, we can start on the final challenges. Sasuke watched as the 10 drew numbers, and then once they had done, they lined up on order, from Naruto being in last place to Kuratsuchi holding number 1. Remember, you can only challenge the person above you in rank. Start. He watched as the 10 started to challenge each other. He mostly focused on Naruto as he quickly beat number 9, and then once number 8 had won against 7, he fought the new 8 remaining unchallenged by the person he had beat to reach number 9. This continued on until Naruto was the second highest person, underneath the Tsuchikage. Sasuke saw the two of them nod at each other in greeting. Deidara quickly was in number 3 while Kuratoshi was in number 4. The two of them kept fighting each other and switching positions between 3 and 4. A whistle blew at the end of the half hour, and the 10 finished up their matches. Now it is time for the final challenges. This year it will be 3 rounds of 50 hands. 10th place, I challenge, the guy said, and proceed to play against number 9 but lost. They continued on a few changing ranks, but he paid no mind to them. It was once Kuratsuchi was challenged by number 5 that he watched. She beat the person, then challenged Deidara, and lost. Deidara challenged Naruto but lost. Finally it was Naruto versus the Tsuchikage Inoki. It is now time for the match we have all been waiting for. As we all want, see the intense battle between Fallen King Inoki, and Solid Hand Naruto, Slayer of the Wicked Eyes, and we shall have longer matches. It will be 5 rounds of 100 hands played out to full as per normal. Inoki and Naruto have made their usual bet that if Naruto loses a single hand he must forfeit. The crowd cheered and the announcer chuckled. Let's begin then. Sasuke watched as the two fought and was shocked in that Naruto never lost. He made it seem easy that he was beating Inoki. It wasn't long that the rounds were done, and he saw Inoki slump down in defeat. He had lost all of them. Some tables were brought out and the final 10 sat down, and a few ninjas brought out some posters, and people were getting up and making their way down. Naruto-sama. He heard many female voices call out and shuddered as he saw them rush towards Naruto. Still, it was better the blonde than him. Kakashi dismissed them, telling them to do as they wished. So Sasuke left the building. He didn't want to be around the crowd of people who had seen him have to do that stupid song and dance. A few minutes later, he saw the ninja he and Sakura had made a bet with earlier coming towards him. Sakura following him looking meek. Alright, I got the perfect punishments for you two since you lost. Follow me, as Sakura spoke, chuckling. Sasuke scowled and thought about running away, but he knew the ninja was probably a Chunin, or Jonin, and would easily catch him. At least he would face his punishment with dignity. They were led to a hair salon, and Sakura was forced to get her hair cut short, in a style similar to Kuratsuchi. He had his hair dyed to a hot pink color, the exact shade of Pinkie Pie. Sasuke wanted to die in mortification, especially when Iwa people kept calling him that. Eventually he and Sakura were led to a restaurant with Naruto, and the Tsuchikage. Naruto smirked at him. Ended up liking your hair pink? No, Sasuke growled. We lost the bet, Sakura informed them, shifting her hair looking awkward. The style didn't suit her at all. Tomorrow, we will head out after midday to head back to Konoha. Naruto, try not to cause mass panic with that experiment of yours. And Deidara. Sasuke watched as the two blondes just grinned. Well, you know we will be working on it. So really there is no need to panic. The Tsuchikage narrowed his eyes. What are you two up to? The blondes just smiled, and Sasuke knew there was nothing innocent about them. It wasn't his issue to deal with. Finally they retired to his room, and he fell asleep. He awoke to a roar. Leaping out of his bed he dashed to the window, and stared in horror as he saw at the far edge of the village a giant 9-tailed fox, the Kyuubi. How was it here? Didn't the fourth defeat it? He saw the tails whip around as the fox roared again. He activated his Sharingan, and hastily covered his eyes as he saw the fox was about to explode. Even with his hands covering his eyes he saw white behind his eyelids. Naruto, Uzumaki and Deidara. A voice roared out, and Sasuke saw the Tsuchikage briefly as he leapt towards the direction the Kyuubi had been. Sasuke debated going after and finding out what was going on, then shrugged, and returned to his bed. He could ask the dope tomorrow. On Naruto's POV. Naruto grinned at Deidara as they were at the training field. Between the two of them was a tiny little sculpture of Kirama. Tobirama glanced between Naruto and the sculpture. This is a bad idea. Hashirama nodded in agreement. Both of you already create large explosions. Both of them combined is just overkill. Madara rolled his eyes. Stop being so dramatic. It will be fine. You ready? Deidara asked, his eyes shining in unholy glee. Naruto matched the look, answering with a maniacal grin. Yes, I am. The two boys both grabbed the clay figure and started channeling chakra into it. Deidara put in his explosive chakra, and Naruto put in Kurama's chakra. They mixed the two chakras together slowly, keeping an eye out for any sort of complication or incompatibility between the two chakras. It was an hour later that they both fully put in the chakra. All of Deidara's and 9 taels worth of Kurama's chakra was slowly fed into the tiny sculpture. The tiny sculpture was radiating Kurama's aura, which was currently glee throughout the process, but as soon as they finished it synced into the sculpture and disappeared. Naruto, some black and darker shades of gray appear on the little figure. Wow! What? Naruto asked, glancing over at his friend. It looks exactly like Kurama. It does bear a striking resemblance to me. I would assume it is due to all my chakra we fed to it. Kurama spoke, his bug clone appearing on the ground lying down. He looked tired. Alright, shall we see what this looks like full size? Naruto asked. Sounds good, yeah. How big do you think it will be? Naruto gave a shrug. I don't know, what do you think? I was thinking about 30 feet myself. He gave a nod, and they both backed away from the statue to give it room to expand, though they weren't sure how big the clay would expand. If it was Deidara's chakra alone it might be predictable, but Kurama's chakra was another matter, and it might not react in a way they were expecting. Deidara grinned and activated the sculpture to expand it. It rapidly grew bigger and bigger, and the two boys had to jump away to avoid getting crushed. When it stopped they looked upwards, and gulped. The sculpture had become full size. This isn't good. Shrink it back down. The bomber of Iwa nodded and crossed his fingers. The giant clay Kyuubi roared. Oh shit. Kurama spoke as the giant version of himself seemed to glare down at them, and its tail started waving around. One of the tails swung towards them, and the two boys rapidly threw themselves away. Kurama. What's happening? My chakra is out of my control now. It's bent on causing destruction. The bug fox clone shouted back. I can't shrink it, Deidara yelled at them. Do you know a powerful lightning jutsu? No, Naruto shouted back. Run, Kurama yelled out. The fox roared again, its tails carving paths in the landscape around them, as they dodged for their lives, running as fast as they could to get away. Get underground, Kurama shouted, and the two boys quickly used Daten, hidden in stones, jutsu to dive into the rock, still fleeing through the earth. The earth trembled and shook around them as a large ear-piercing boom filled the air, leaving his ears ringing. The earth was heating up as Naruto and Deidara ran away. It was only after they had made it to cool earth that they stopped running, and made their way above ground. Coughing as smoke filled their lungs, they turned to where the clay Kyuubi had been, and gaped. A half-mile from where they stood was a giant crater. Deidara whistled and then choked on the smoke that was slowly rising up and blowing away. Naruto Uzumaki and Deidara Inoki's bellow rang out from a distance. The two explosion users shared a glance, and gulped. Think it's too late to flee for our lives? Deidara questioned. Naruto glanced at Tobirama's narrowed expression as the ghost arrived, and nodded. Yeah, it's far too late. It was great knowing you, Deidara said gloomily, despair filling his eyes. Well, at least we went out with a bang, Naruto said, placing a hand on Deidara's shoulder. Yeah. Man, just look at the crater. How big do you think it is? Based on the smaller explosions, and how they progressed, I would say. Naruto paused, trying to recall the numbers he had once calculated. 1,680 feet deep, 840 feet round. And the actual radius probably spread out to 30,720 feet. That is if your chakra combined with it didn't make it bigger. Wow, Deidara muttered. Both the boys watched as Inoki's figure got bigger and bigger, coming towards them rapidly. Within another minute that Tsuchikage had arrived. What do you two fools think you are doing? How could you even think of making a giant Kyuubi like that without informing me? Inoki shouted, interrupting Deidara as he tried to explain. I have allowed you to continue practicing your bombs, but I told you that you were to inform me if you ever experimented in a new explosion. We don't need a repeat of your C4 incident. I can't believe you would be so idiotic as to do something as foolish as this, Deidara. And you, Inoki shouted, rounding on Naruto. You may not be an Iwa ninja, but surely you aren't so brainless as to think making a full-scale Kyuubi in another country is a good idea, especially with what you contain. Naruto looked down into the ground, wishing to disappear. Do you know how much panic you two caused back in Iwa? People were preparing to evacuate and flee for those few seconds that the Kyuubi was there. What on earth possessed you to make a large-scale model of the Kyuubi? Deidara opened his mouth. No. Don't answer. I don't want to hear it. I have had enough of you messing around with these explosions of yours. You are banned from using explosions. What? No. You can't do that, old man, Deidara shouted back, his eyes wide. Yes, I can. You are focusing way too much on those explosions of yours. You need to work on your other skills. I'm already in a rank ninja due to my explosions though. If you would allow me to use my clan's kinjutsu, then I could easily be S rank. You're holding me back, Deidara yelled as he glared. I've told you before that you aren't responsible enough to handle your clan's kinjutsu. You need to work on your other skills if you ever hope to take this hat from me, Inoki shouted back, glaring. Deidara froze, his eyes widening. Naruto blinked, recalling the words he had spoken to the older boy the other day. Naruto hugged his friend. Well, if you feel it is absolutely necessary to leave Iwa, I won't try and stop you, but, well, I've mentioned I plan to be Hokage, and was kinda hoping you would be the next Tsuchikage. Deidara looked shocked. Me? As Tsuchikage? I think most think that Kuratsuchi should be next. Maybe, but from what I noticed the old man seemed to be preparing you. That was my thoughts anyways. Every time I'm there he always seemed to be paying attention to you. If I had to take a guess, he wants you to focus on stuff other than your art, so you can be better suited to protecting the village. Anyways, I was wanting you to be Tsuchikage, cause then when we're the leaders we can have peace between our villages. Deidara chuckled. Imagine the other villages' reactions to ours becoming allies. Inoki had never given confirmation when Deidara confronted him in the office, but now he had. You want me to become Tsuchikage? Yes, Inoki said, rolling his eyes. Wasn't it obvious? But everyone thinks that it's going to be Kuratsuchi that gets the hat next. Inoki shook his head. She does not have the right temperament. She feels like she will inherit the hat and is not working hard for it. You on the other hand never show any interest in becoming Tsuchikage, but you work hard to get what you want. Even if that is just improving your explosions. If you had that temperament for your other ninja skills you could easily become a cage-level ninja. Deidara seemed shocked into silence. Like you said, your art alone has made you into an A-rank ninja. Almost an S-rank ninja. But your other skills are lacking, barely above Chunin level, at most low Jounin level. Just imagine if you improved those other skills to high Jounin. You would be an S-rank threat without furthering your art anymore. And if you have improved your art then that makes you even more deadly. Also, what are you going to do if someone ever figures out how to neutralize your explosions? Without your art what would you do? Deidara paused. Use bigger explosions. Inoki glowered at him. Which they already figured out how to neutralize. It wouldn't work. Even using the C4 would fail if they were clever enough to charge their own body with lightning. Deidara winced. After they neutralize your strongest jutsu, and you've near killed yourself from using your kinjutsu, they would easily pick you off. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Why you need to focus on your other skills? Inoki questioned with a tired sigh. The older boy looked hesitant before he nodded. Yeah, I understand, old man. Good. But we hadn't meant for the clay kyuubi to get so big. It was only meant to be about 20 or 30 feet tall. After we saw how big it was, we tried to shrink it. It was out of our control, though there was too much of Kurama's chakra in it. Sorry. I didn't think my chakra would react in such a manner. I thought it would be like the little bombs we make. Kurama apologized with a careless shrug. Inoki blinked. I see, so you decided to explode it. I didn't. Deidara shook his head in denial. Neither did I. Did. The clay version of myself wanted to kill Deidara and Naruto since they were trying to control it, Kurama explained. Inoki just sighed again, and pinched his nose. Your punishment stands, Deidara. For the next year you are to not work on your art, but you can still use it in a battle situation. If you work hard on your other skills, and I see serious effort, and you don't break your punishment, I will let you have your clan's kinjutsu. When Inoki first spoke, Deidara looked ready to protest, but when the old man finished speaking, Deidara looked thoughtful. Alright, you're on, old man, Deidara said with a grin. After a moment, Naruto beamed happily as Deidara smiled at Inoki. Inoki cast a look at the big crater. Well, looks like we got a place for a new lake. Deidara and Naruto both shared a sheepish grin. I may not be able to punish you, brat, but I will be sending a letter to Hiruzen, Inoki said with narrowed eyes. Naruto sunk down with a depressive cloud over his head. Gigi is going to scold me again? Again, Deidara questioned. Yeah, my last mission got a bit out of hand, Naruto replied, waving a hand dismissively as he stood back up from his crouched stance. Say, old man, how come I never meet? I was Jinchuriki. Don't you have two of them? Kurama perked up at this, looking inquisitively at Inoki. Han and Roshi left a year or so before you first came to Iwa. They can come back if they so please. In fact, if they hear about this incident they may pop up. They left to learn more about themselves as Jinchuriki, and to work on their powers without inciting the village into a panic. Naruto's sweat dropped at the pointed look Inoki gave him. Now off to bed, you two, Inoki commanded. The two boys trudged back into Iwa. Saratobi's POV. Naruto. Care to explain to me why Inoki is complaining to me about troublesome blondes causing him double the paperwork? The boy's sweat dropped. By accident. Explain what happened. Well, Naruto's POV. Deidara and Naruto continued to trudge back towards Iwa in silence. I wonder why those three have been following you two, Tobirama questioned with a frown. What do you mean? Hashirama asked. Since we first came out there has been 3 chakra signatures following us. One is Itachi Uchiha, another is a water user with a large chakra reserves, and the third is Tobirama frowned. Odd, his chakra seems to flow in a strange manner. I wonder what the three want, Madara questioned, narrowing his eyes. Where? Naruto questioned, shifting his right arm slightly. A few hundred feet back, Tobirama answered before moving away towards the direction he pointed out. Naruto and the unaware Deidara continued on towards Iwa, though Naruto did get them to pick up the pace a bit, saying he wanted to be rested before having to deal with Sasuke and Sakura. I feel sorry for you having to deal with that arrogant, unartistic prick. Sasuke was the rookie of the year, so he believes he is really strong. He didn't know that some people actually act like ninjas and pretend to be worse. Plus my Bunshin and Henge isn't the greatest. Deidara gave a nod. Isn't he from some clan of Konoha? Yes, the Uchiha clan, once hailed as the strongest clan in Konoha after the Senju died out. They have a Dojutsu which allows them to cast Jinjutsu with just a glance, as well as have a predictive ability. They see the tiniest movements and can know what you are going to do. It also allows them to copy jutsus. Of course, most of the clan has been killed by Sasuke's brother. Oh yeah, I heard about that, the Uchiha massacre, which made Itachi Uchiha an S-rank criminal. Naruto gave a nod and glanced at Madara, who was staring behind him. It seems that the three people would be making a move. You seem to know an awful lot about the Sharingan, Naruto-kun. Naruto and Deidara spun around and saw Itachi standing behind them. Speak of evil, and it shall appear, Naruto commented dryly. Still the other two who had been with him weren't there, and Tobirama was still gone. Obviously he was with the other two members. Naruto eyed the cloak that Itachi was wearing. It was black with red clouds. Akatsuki, a mercenary organization stationed in Ame with a mysterious leader. Even Naruto couldn't get any information about the man. Most spirits avoided Ame, which seemed to have a nest of strong filth. The ghosts that entered Ame never came back out. It was a bit annoying that he had this dark spot in his information web. But since Ame kept to itself, then there wasn't much need to keep information on Ame. Deidara gaped. We somehow summon him by speaking of him. Yeah, Itachi's blank face stared at them unamused. Well, what else could have happened? Less he was stalking us. It seems I will be able to accomplish 2 goals in 1 trip, Itachi commented, looking at both of them. 2 goals? Deidara questioned, narrowing his eyes. You are being recruited into Akatsuki, Itachi spoke, glancing at Deidara. And I am after Naruto-kun. I don't want to join your cult, or whatever it is. Deidara spat with a glare. Why are you after me? Naruto questioned a split second after. That is none of your concern. Both of you will come. I think being taken somewhere as a matter of my concern. Naruto deadpanned, crossing his arms and shifting his stance to look more like Madara. He deactivated the gravity seal, which had replaced his weights, and prepared to fight. It seems that you will not come peacefully, Itachi commented, and Naruto saw Tobirama appear. Don't look into his eyes. Naruto spoke quickly, and dodged out of the way as Senbon pierced the ground in front of where he had been standing. Glacing to check on Deidara, he saw that the bomber had managed to dodge as well. Let's hope the old man is still nearby, Deidara shouted as he threw out a handful of spiders. The two went back to back, Deidara facing off against whoever threw the Senbon, and Naruto facing against Itachi, though he made sure to not look into the Uchiha's eyes. Though if he did, he knew Madara would break him out. It would still be an inconvenience. I recognize you, you're Kasame, the tailless Biju. Yeah, but who are you? Deidara questioned. This runt is to be my partner. Who you calling a runt? You're hunchbacked. And I'm not going to join your stupid cult. We are not a cult. A voice different than the first stated. Make this quick. We don't have time for a drawn-out fight. Itachi spoke, looking at the people behind Naruto. In a rush, Itachi came at him, and Naruto dodged again, channeling chakra through his limbs in order to keep up with the former Anbu's movements. The bombs exploded and the fight was on. Naruto dodged and threw down some of his smaller bombs, and then used a chakra-enhanced jump to leap onto Deidara's clay bird which the bomber had made. Katsu! The two shouted and exploded the bombs. Saratobi's POV. You're telling me you encountered Itachi Uchiha, Kasame Hashigaki, and Sasori of the Red Sands? The blonde shrugged. Yeah. Apparently they were just there to keep an eye on Deidara, but after the argument with Inoki they thought Deidara would be a lot more dissatisfied, and would be willing to join them. He pinched the bridge of his nose. Go ahead and continue, right? Well, after a minute or so of us raining bombs down on the while dodging jutsus, they managed to land a lucky hit. Naruto's POV. Jump ship! Deidara shouted. Naruto leapt off of the bird and winced as it exploded a second later, and the heat brushed across his skin. Let's split. I'll fight Itachi, Naruto said to Deidara, as they landed on the ground. Can you handle fighting against the other two? Deidara frowned. I can't hold them off for a little while. How long do you think you can fight against Itachi? I have a few tricks I can use, Naruto answered with a smirk. Deidara nodded and the two split apart before the Akatsuki members could reach them, Naruto in the direction of Itachi and Deidara went towards the Kisame, and the third person. Naruto stared at Itachi's chest, avoiding his red eyes. In a blur Itachi dashed towards him, and Naruto raised an arm to block, falling into his taijutsu style. He knew from experience that he wasn't able to attack against a more skilled opponent. But he could block. If he got an opportunity he needed to turn this into a ninjutsu battle. He winced as his arms and legs took the punches he was unable to dodge. Kyune were blocked with matching Kyune. Shuriken stopped with Shuriken. It was still a losing battle though as the seconds dragged into a minute he became more bruised, and scratches started to appear on his skin as a few Kyune managed to hit him. Finally though he managed to get some distance. Use the jutsu I taught you, Madara advised. Naruto didn't respond except to take a deep breath, and form the tiger seal, sacrificing a bit of strength in order to make it one-handed so Itachi could not copy it. Kaiten. Great fire destruction. Breathing out he unleashed a stream of intense flames that rushed out towards Itachi. A large area in front of him was covered in flames, and smoke as the fire slowly extinguished with no fuel to keep it going. Kaiten. Great fire destruction was the precursor to Madara's majestic flame destroyer. Naruto had just started to learn the jutsu before the trip to Wave. He was nowhere near proficient in it and so the stream was small compared to what it should be. Itachi's answer was a great fireball, and Naruto used hiding like a mole technique in order to escape the flames. Making a few clay and earth buncheons he, and the others burst out. Explosions rang in the backdrop, a constant symphony of bangs and booms. His only cue that Deidara was still alive. His clones went to attack Itachi, who seemed unfazed by the earlier fire attack. Concentrating, Naruto made the bird hand sign, and made several large spikes protrude from the ground. Itachi dodged and closed the distance, kicking Naruto back a good 10 feet or so. He climbed back to his feet and saw that Deidara was 100 yards away. I can't leave the two of you alone, can I? Inoki grumbled as he appeared in the middle of the two fights. The three members of Akatsuki grouped back together, each with various minor wounds as they eyed the three of them as Naruto and Deidara quickly went towards Inoki. Naruto and Deidara were wounded as much as them, but Inoki was uninjured and unspent. We should retreat for now, Itachi spoke. Agreed, the hunchback figure said. TCH, I think we can't take on the old geezer and the two brats, Kisame said with a grin as he hoisted his sword over his shoulder. Not without undue risk. We have gathered valuable data that Leader Sama will wish to hear. With that the three Akatsuki members vanished in puffs of smoke. Sarutobi's POV. I see this is worrying. What purpose does this Akatsuki serve? What did they want with you? I don't know, Naruto answered, frowning. He sighed. After the incident he decided to see if he could use this to his advantage, and have Itachi spy on the Akatsuki. But the boy left his office without answering. Granted, it was shortly after Naruto and Fugaku had left. Itachi had been silent after reporting. Sarutobi had never gotten a single report from Itachi. There was no sign that the boy had given them any information. He hoped that Itachi was still loyal, and was just unable to make reports. It was more comforting thought than the idea of him going truly rouge. It was plausible that Itachi was unable to make any sort of report. Even Naruto couldn't learn anything from AIM. Say, old man, what are you going to do about the Chunin exams? Sarutobi sighed. They will go on. As you know, I have been preparing Konoha for the upcoming invasion. For now we will continue going as if unaware of what Orochimaru is planning. I have received letters from the other villages saying what amount of teams they are sending. The numbers from Iwa is larger than previous times we hosted it. But that is due to the bettering of our village's relationship due to your janken tournaments, Naruto pouted. I still can't believe they spilled the secret. How are they ever going to be good ninja if they can't keep secrets? He smiled. I could argue that they were being good shinobi by informing me. Naruto crossed his arms, a scowl crossing his face. Kumo has also informed us that their Jinchuriki is coming as a sensei of a team of genin. They are of course informing us out of goodwill. Adano also made a note that B was badgering him because B wanted to meet with you again. Naruto's face was confused for a moment. After a moment the confusion cleared. Oh yeah, the Eight Tails Jinchuriki. I nearly forgot about him, and that I was supposed to return to Kumo when I was 13 to get further training. Wait closer to summer before you go to Kumo, Sarutobi said with a sigh. Alright, Naruto agreed. Kiri is only sending a few teams, as Maidano said. They were trying to rebuild Kiri. She did seem fairly surprised though to receive the letter. Or that is what she mentioned in her return letter. Suna though is sending in a larger amount of teams, and have given no reason as to why. Well, Orochimaru did try and get the Kazekage to agree, though he said no last I heard. Maybe he changed his mind, maybe. I wouldn't put foul play past my former student, though. The Spy Master and Hawkage continued discussing the upcoming Chunin exams far into the night. figuring out various protective measures and counterattacks to what the belief that Orochimaru would be doing. A Kakashi's POV, he looked at his three students, from the not really a genin Naruto, to the civilian girl Sakura, to the rookie of the year Sasuke Uchiha. It was not a good team combination. At first it seemed like it might be possible, but that was before Sasuke learned of the skill gap between him and Naruto. When Sasuke, though Naruto was below him, he was fine with working with the boy, but now that he has been proven wrong and humiliated, he is always angry at Naruto, and refuses to work with the boy. Sakura, on the other hand, was getting better, as proven when they had made their way back from Iwa, and she had asked Naruto for his thoughts on what she should do. Kurenai had come to him last night saying that Sakura had asked her about Jinjutsus. While Sakura had the chakra control for the art of illusions, she didn't have the strongest imagination for it, and so Kurenai had told her she would have more strength in the Iraijutsu department. Naruto, of course, was strong due to the Anbu training he had to go through, as well as the fact he had legends such as Ashirama and Madara to teach him. He really was only lacking actually combat experience. Now that he was going on missions, he was becoming a lot stronger. He eyed the three genin, from Sasuke, who was glaring at him, and refusing to listen to Naruto, to Sakura, who was trying her best, and finally Naruto, who was trying to get Sasuke to follow his orders. He had taken a page out of Minato-sensei's book, and tied the three together in such a way that they had to work together in order to escape. Hyobito and Rin had managed escape after they realized working together started to loosen the ropes. Naruto had realized it a few minutes into it, and had told the other two. Sakura had followed his instructions, but Sasuke refused to cooperate. After you escape from the ropes, you may have free time for the rest of the day, Kakashi informed them. Pretending to be reading Icha, he disappeared, and hid himself in a trio. A moment later Naruto glanced at him. Kakashi just gave a shrug in response, and an grin. After another 10 minutes he saw Naruto huff, shooting him an annoyed look. Kakashi sighed. Go ahead and escape. Naruto grinned at him, and then substituted out of the ropes. The ropes, of course, fell due to Naruto being gone, and Sakura seemed to shake her head. Sasuke was of course glaring. Maybe Kakashi should talk with Fugaku, and see if the boy's father could help with the boy's attitude. Kakashi started to follow his female student as she went through Konoha. He saw her go into the hospital, and about an hour later she walked back out with some books in her hand. As she went home, it looks like she would be learning Iraijutsu. Having a team medic would definitely be useful. After he saw her settle and he went to look for Naruto. He knew the boy would know he was watching him, but that was okay. It wasn't fair, though. It never failed to make Kakashi paranoid. Whenever he thought about the invisible spirits that were around him, it also was cruel that Obito was still alive. Kakashi shook his head as he recalled Naruto telling him about that, how Madara had been manipulated and in turn manipulated Obito. There was nothing he could do, though, not until he could find Obito. He found Naruto with Shino and Hinata. The three of them were walking together around a lake with fishing poles. Soon they stopped, and started to cast their lines while Hinata and Shino were. Naruto walked a little further away, and started to cast fireballs at the lake and grabbed the fish that floated to the top, dead from being boiled alive. You're right, Madara. This is the best way to fish. Naruto signed. Kakashi facepalmed. Of course Madara had something to do with Naruto casting fireballs. He continued watching as Naruto signed, apparently taking Madara's side against Tobirama, who was scolding Naruto. Hashirama was laughing at the situation. If Naruto's pouting and stop laughing, Hashi-chan. Hand signs were anything to go by. Eventually Hinata and Shino started to scold Naruto, saying that the lake had gone down a few inches due to him, and if he kept going he was going to evaporate the entire lake. Naruto's expression seemed to be caught between guilty and smug. Kakashi shook his head at the boy, an amused smile tugging at his lips. He had a feeling that Madara was encouraging Naruto to destroy the lake, while Tobirama would be the one trying to stop him, with Shino and Hinata joining into the fight. Unknowingly on Tobirama's side the scale seemed to tip into the Nidame's favor. Fine. I'll fix the lake, Naruto finally shouted, throwing his hands up as he pouted. I am horrible at water jutsus. Naruto moaned as he formed hand signs, and spat out a stream of water. It took a good half-hour for the boy to raise the lake water back up to where it had been. While he was doing that, Shino had pulled out some hot chocolate, and was treating Hinata to the drink. The two sat next to each other as they watched Naruto struggle to refill the lake. Kakashi grinned, and decided to go check in on his final student. But first a quick stop to give a gift to a fellow shinobi. That night when Shino laid on his bed, he found a bright orange book under his pillow. Kakashi hummed as he went to find Sasuke. After checking the training field, and seeing the boy was gone, he went to the Uchiha clan compound. Found the boy working in the Uchiha training field. An angry scowl on his face, he settled down, and watched his student train himself in Taijutsu and Bukijutsu. After 10 or so minutes, Fugaku came up into the tree next To him, Kakashi-san, the Uchiha clan had greeted Fugaku-sama. He greeted back with a small nod. How has Sasuke been with his team? Not good. He refuses to work with Naruto, and as you can see he keeps pushing himself to get better, but he doesn't ask for help. Kakashi responded, I have noticed, Fugaku murmured. He feels weak. He thinks that he should already be a Chunin, and on his way to becoming an Anbu, simple because Itachi was an Anbu. Kakashi shook his head. Sasuke is nothing like Itachi. The two shared a look, both understanding that simple fact. Will you be entering your team into the upcoming Chunin exams? Yes. Only for Naruto though, he shouldn't be held back just because Sakura and Sasuke aren't ready. I will try and train them up enough that they can make it through the team rounds. Fugaku was silent at that. If Sasuke does make it to the finals, I will be putting in a request that he be held back from promotion. I don't want him becoming a Chunin until he learns teamwork. Fugaku sighed. I wish that boy had taken more after Mikoto, or I instead of my father. Kakashi winced. I remember Minato complaining about him. Senbi wasn't it? Fugaku nodded. I should inform you that Naruto had a run-in with Itachi about a week ago. So far Sasuke hasn't learned of it. The Uchiha clan head raised an eyebrow, and Naruto came out unscathed. A few minor cuts and bruises, nothing Kurama could heal. I guess Sasuke was under the impression that Naruto was worn out from the clay Kyuubi. Clay Kyuubi? Kakashi shook his head. Those two boys were messing around, and things got out of hand from what I hear. On another note, Iwa now has a new lake named Kyuubi's Pissing. Fugaku's mouth fell open. That Tsuchikage actually named the lake that. Kakashi snickered. Yep. I hear that Kurama is really smug about that. Fox manages to cause all sorts of mischief. Fugaku replied with a sigh. I can't believe Naruto let him wander around alone. I hate to admit it, but that fox has been somewhat useful since he manages to hide himself. He manages to see a few crimes with no one knowing, and he reports them to me. Kakashi shook his head. I'm surprised by how non-murderous the fox is. Turns out he only tried to attack Konoha due to some Uchiha controlling him. Kakashi grimaced. I know. The two fell silent as they continued to watch Sasuke train. After another 10 minutes later, Kakashi left and went back into Konoha Main. Not really knowing where to go, he found himself in front of the memorial stone. Ever since he learned Obito was still alive, he found himself coming here less often. He stared at the names on the stone for a few minutes. You would be proud of Naruto, he's grown so strong, he murmured with a small smile. With that he turned and walked away. He went home and checked on his groceries, throwing out the rest of his spoiled milk. After that he went outside of Konoha and summoned his pack and took them for a walk, just enjoying spending time with them. Perhaps he should introduce his pack to his students, see how they react, though they may have seen them on the wave mission period. But that wasn't a proper introduction. My eternal rival, Guy shouted. Kakashi sighed and looked at the green Jounin, who had a miniature version next to himself. Hello Guy. Mini Guy. Yosh, my name is Lee. The mini guy shouted with a grin. Kakashi just nodded. Right, like I said, mini guy. Curse your hip and cool attitude. I challenge you, Kakashi. Kakashi just gave an eye grin as he looked up from his book. Did you say something? Guy face planted into the ground. How about my student versus yours in a match of Janken? Kakashi offered with a grin, a most youthful challenge. So long as it's not Naruto-kun. Mini Guy tilted his head. Naruto-kun, the most youthful Janken player. He has never lost a hand of Janken. Kakashi just I smiled. I was thinking of Naruto-kun. But if your students would rather face against Sasuke, I can understand. Yash. I will beat Naruto-kun in Janken. The miniature shouted, and Kakashi and his pack disappeared before the boy could start shouting about rocks on his feet, or hands behind his back, or whatever sort of crazily insane punishment the boy would inflict on himself. He walked back into Konoha after dismissing his pack, and looked up at the setting sun. Perhaps should go get some food. Entering into the barbecue restaurant, he was flagged down by Asuma and Kurone. Kakashi sighed and made his way over to the two of them. Yo Kakashi, Kurone greeted. Asuma just breathed out a bit of smoke. A waiter came up to them and took their order. How are your students? Asuma questioned. Good. Sakura was at the hospital earlier today. Sasuke is training hard to improve himself, and Naruto was spending time with Shino and Hinata. I wish Hokage-sama had placed Naruto with my team instead of Kiba. Kurone sighed. Kiba is a handful and doesn't know when to quit. Oh yes. He keeps trying to get Hinata to date him, even though she doesn't like him as more than a friend. Kakashi chuckled. She doesn't seem to mind Shino's advances though. What advances? Kurone questioned. Kakashi blinked. Earlier today Shino gave Hinata some hot chocolate, and he was sitting really close to her. Kurone shook her head, an amused smile on her face. You've been reading too much. Icha. The two of them are just really close friends. If you say so, he replied doubtfully. What about you, Asuma? How is your team? Asuma shrugged. They're good. Mostly I just leave them to their clans to teach, and just run them through formations to give more practical experience. That's good and all for now, but you should give them all something new. So that way they can surprise enemies who might be familiar with the way the Ino Shikacho formation works, especially with the Chunin exams coming up here in a month. Asuma gave a thoughtful nod. You're right. Anyways, I heard you and your team went with Naruto to his tournament. How was this year? Kakashi grinned, and began to tell of Pinkie Pie Sasuke, leaving his two fellow jounin in laughter. Naruto's POV. Only a few weeks left till the Chunin exams, Naruto said with a frown as he stared at the Hiraishin seal he was working on. He nearly had complete after spending the last couple of weeks working on it almost non-stop. It hadn't been a priority before, but now it was. Especially since his shoulder now had a new seal on it from where Tobirama's Hiraishin and the storage seal had combined an entire new seal. Naruto wasn't sure what it would do. He wasn't willing to test it either without some sort of idea. Tobirama paced behind him, his hands clasped behind his back, and he was rambling about the Hiraishin seal. Hashirama had a glazed eye look, and Madara was taking notes and made a ghostly writing pad. Was a mystery now. If only he could connect all of the individual seals of the Hiraishin tag, he would be done. He shifted the way the seals were layered with a frown. He knew that the chakra location seal and the blood seal should be on top. At the very bottom would be the time seal, with the dimensional seal on top of it. He needed to figure out the order of the middle section, though the comfort seal would best be the top. Then, the transport seal, and under it should probably be the assembly seal, and then the disassembling seal. So the order from top to bottom would be chakra location seal, blood connector seal, comfort seal, the transport seal, the assembly seal, the disassembly seal, the dimensional seal, and then the time seal that would layer the seals from the more common seals to the advanced ones. Since the seals were out of order, he had to link them together so that the seals would function in the right order. He didn't want to try and do the assembling before disassembling. Of course, each seal was layered with 5 to 10 security seals, and fake layers with even more secure. These seals were incorporated, which made the 8 real layers hidden like needles in a haystack. There was about 100 layers total. Of course, one of the seals was a self-destruct seal that would destroy the entire seal if an enemy's chakra tried to unravel the seals after draw. In the seals, he carefully looked over the finished seal he had layered, and connected it so that it looked like the Uzumaki swirl. Tobirama didn't have a particular design for his, and his father had his seal designed to look like the kanji endurance, love, of sort. He didn't particularly understand why his father picked those kanji. After all, he used kyune, not a sword. Tobirama saw Naruto stare at the seal and stopped his rambling as he came over and started to look over it. After a few minutes he nodded. It looks good. Now you need to test it. If the test proves successful, then, he trailed off and blinked as he saw Madara, who was putting away his notepad. You need to memorize the seal perfectly. Tobirama finished. Were you taking notes? Tobirama questioned as he turned to Madara. Madara crossed his arms and scowled. "Why?" Tobirama asked, puzzled. "Because it was interesting." "Why else?" "You mean you actually understood what I was talking about?" "Yes, some of it. I do dabble in seals. Madara has helped me before when I got stuck." Naruto spoke up, and glanced around the room to see that Hashirama was starting to tune back, and he gathered up his seal, and prepared to go find Kakashi so he could test the seal. "Why have you never mentioned this before?" Tobirama demanded. "It never came up. Get over here, and tell me what you think of this seal then," Tobirama commanded. Pull out his own notepad. Madara rolled his eyes but walked over and stared at the seal for a minute. "Is it a seal allowing a user to open a portal to an alternate dimension?" he questioned in stunned disbelief. Tobirama smirked. "It would be if I had ever gotten it to work." "Can you see why it doesn't work?" Madara frowned, and grabbed the notepad from Tobirama. Hashirama gaped. "Please tell me I heard that wrong." "You heard them right." Naruto spoke with a sweat drop, as Madara and Tobirama started discussing seal together. "Well, they are only spirits, so it should be fine," Hashirama murmured as Madara chuckled a bit, and Tobirama seemed smug. Naruto just gave a nod, and decided to ignore the 2 spirits. That was the best course of action here, right? PFD, who was he kidding? Getting far away was probably safer. Luckily, such a seal would be difficult to create, so hopefully Madara and Tobirama were not able to get it working. He and Hashirama left the two to discuss the seal as Naruto went to find Jiraiya so he could test to see if the Hiraishin worked. He could not test the seal with the ghosts, because he needed someone else in case seal didn't work. Jiraiya would be able to hopefully fix him if it went badly, meaning he was deatomized, and not reatomized, or lost in another dimension, or frozen in time. He was sure he got it right. Tobirama also gave it his approval, so nothing too bad should happen. "Jiraiya. You hear? Yeah, what do you need?" Jiraiya's voice called out. "I'm ready to test the Hiraishin seal." "All right. Come on down to the basement." Naruto made his way down to the basement, and saw Jiraiya was working on a seal Naruto knew he was working on the located Edo Tensei, trying to figure how to weaken it or release the Edo Tensei after they were summoned. Jiraiya nodded and stood up. You ready? And Naruto nodded. Alright, place the seal down. And do it then. So he placed the seal down, and then walked to the other side of the room. He felt the slight flare on the edge of his sense, and focused on the seal. An instant later, he was on the other side of the room. Naruto looked down at his hands, and saw that he still looked intact. Jiraiya started to circle around him, and ask questions. How do you feel? Is everything working? Those sort of things. After he confirmed everything was still good, Jiraiya had him use the seal another few times to make sure he could use it properly, and then gave it his thumbs up of approval. So he returned back to his room where Tobirama and Madara were still discussing seals. The rest of the afternoon he spent memorizing the seal and practicing the quick application of it via chakra and scrapping the failed papers that proved he still needed to work on memorizing the seal. By the time he went to bed, he was consistently making the seal in the morning. He had to memorize some of the seal as he had forgotten it. He would have just used his Sharingan, but Tobirama had scolded him, saying that he didn't need to cheat by using the Sharingan, especially since Tobirama had mainly developed the Hiraishin to counter Sharingan. So he spent another hour working on memorizing the seal, making sure he had it right. After he finally rememorized, he placed the storage seal on top of his Hiraishin tag, and watched it. He saw how the storage tag reacted with the dimensional seal, bleeding through all of the layers, and connecting with the seal. Naruto frowned, and looked at his shoulder, staring at the way Tobirama's Hiraishin interacted with the storage seal, and saw the same sort of bleed through how the storage seal reached through the layers to connect with the dimensional seal, which was very interesting, since storage seals were their own dimension, but people were unable to enter them without going into stasis. Dimension seal used by Hiraishin was where the molecules were transported through before reassembled. At the end location of where the tag was located, the travel seemed instantaneous to him due to being nothing but a pile of molecules, and for other people it seemed instantaneous due to the time seal. He and Jiraiya set out through Konoha, marking spots for quick traveling, Jiraiya making sure that the seals weren't too obvious, and in good locations. The two of them even learned a couple old secret tunnels long forgotten about via Hashirama, who pointed them out. By the early evening they finished marking the various Hiraishin spots. Jiraiya grinned. Let's get ramen, my treat. Sure, Naruto said with a grin, always happy to get some ramen, especially if he didn't have to pay for it. The two walked to Ichiriku's. Naruto easily ordered 5 bowls to start with. So how has your new story been doing? Pink Humiliation has been doing great. Seems that people really like the story. Naruto snickered. The other day, I was with my team, and Sasuke saw Kakashi reading the book, and the name of it, and he was pissed, especially once he read it, and saw that it was actually based off of him. People are wanting to see a sequel. Got any ideas? Naruto gave a thoughtful hum. What about that annoying shark song the kids have been singing in the street? Hashirama suggested. So Naruto relayed that to Jiraiya, who gave a thoughtful nod and pulled out a notebook, scribbling down, Humiliation, Shark Edition. I swear, you are a goldmine for new stories, kid, Jiraiya said with a grin. So you're no longer working on Icha. I still occasionally write for it, but this next book should tie up the series, and bring it to an end, Jiraiya answered. Hashirama wrinkled his nose. I still can't believe that Smut actually had plot. I can't believe Dara-chan convinced you to read it. Naruto responded to Hashirama. Tucci and Aim already knew about the spirits. Back when he was younger he hadn't been so good at keeping the secret, and so they had ended up learning about a secret. Hashirama just sighed. He had help from Tobirama. Really? Yes. He said that the book had included stuff he had never seen before. Hashirama groaned out, burying his head in his hands. Why is that important? Hashirama gave a snort. He may not seem like it, but my brother was a playboy. As a playboy I didn't even know ghosts could interact in that manner. He trailed off with a shake of his head. Naruto's sweat dropped. I think I am moving away from that. What did he say? That Tobirama is a playboy, and that ghosts can't play around? Really? The knit aim. Jiraiya amused, a thoughtful look crossing his face. Hashirama just despaired. So once you make it past the second round, I will train you in toad summoning. It will be a really useful skill. No, Hashirama said, becoming serious instantly. No, Naruto questioned, looking at the spirit. We'll be teaching you Sage Mode. I have already discussed this with Madara and Tobirama, and they agreed this was the best training for you to receive before the invasion. So Naruto looked at Jiraiya and said, Hashi-chan has decided to teach me Sage Mode during the time. Oh, that's perfect. The toads can't help with that. Hashirama frowned. The toads can't help? Naruto parroted the question to Jiraiya. Yes, they taught me Sage Mode. Well, partial Sage Mode. I never managed to fully complete it like Minato did. Demonstrate please, the spirit requested. Cure. As Jiraiya grimaced. Sure. But I have to warn you that I am horrible at it. So they went to a training field and Jiraiya summoned two toads called Ma and Pa in order to enter Sage mode. As soon as they started to gather nature chakra, Hashirama was horrified. No, just no how. Can you even think of pulling a nature chakra like that? When Jiraiya had finished, and grew a bulbous nose with warts, Hashirama was beyond horrified, and was becoming furious. How could you be so stupid, using Sage mode like that? Is an idiotic idea, and you are damaging both yourself and the chakra around you. Even the toads are pulling the chakra wrong. Is this how they instructed you? I refuse to let them train Naruto in any form of Sage mode. Obviously, they don't know what they are doing, Hashirama shouted dutifully. Naruto mimicked him and Jiraiya stared in shock. The two toads on his shoulders were pretty displeased as well at the young whelpling who thinks he knows the sage arts. Jiraiya dismissed them, telling them he would talk with them later. Don't think you are off the hook. You will be joining Naruto and learning Sage mode. I won't stand for you desecrating nature like that. Again, yes, Shode-sama, Jiraiya said, cowed into submission via Naruto's mimicking. Good. Now let's return to the house and finish preparing for the Chunin exams. With that, the group returned to the house. We shall never speak of this again, they heard Tobirama declare as they entered. Agreed. Never speak of what again? Hashirama questioned as they entered. Nothing, the two quickly said, both looking incredibly guilty. What did you do? Naruto questioned. Nothing that we didn't fix, Madara reassured. Despite badgering the duo for the rest of the night, they refused to answer what they had been talking about. Naruto figured it hadn't been anything too bad if they weren't worrying about it. Hiruzen, he looked out at the Jounin teachers in front of him. 4 teachers in particular. He had high hopes for their teams being successful in the upcoming events. This at the moment was a mere formality. The paperwork was already filled by the teachers and would be submitted at the end as the Hokage he needed to make the exams look normal, or the plan to throw off Orochimaru would be ruined. The only two things his former student wanted was to destroy Konoha, and to get Sasuke for his eyes. He couldn't protect the boy directly without giving away the fact they knew Orochimaru's plans. Hiruzen would just have to rely on Naruto distracting his former student and hopefully being able to delay Orochimaru enough for the nearby Anbu to respond. As you know, the Chunin exams will be starting in a little over 2 weeks. Now let us start with the rookie teams, he commanded before giving a nod to his son Asuma. I Asuma Saratobi, submit my students, I know Yamanaka, Chaji Akamichi, and Shikamaru Nara, to participate in the upcoming exams, Asuma stated, drawing some murmuring from the other teachers. A rookie team competing, they whispered to each other, confused as such a thing was almost unheard of. Teachers generally preferred to wait a year, like Guy did. Asuma was unaware of the invasion, and Hiruzen sighed. If he had informed his son, then he would have kept his team out. Perhaps keeping the rookie teams out would be better. But Orochimaru was clearly expecting Sasuke to participate, which if he was going to have one team participate, then the other two should participate as well. I Kirina Yuhi, submit my students, Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aburame, and Kiba Inuzuka, to participate in the upcoming exams. Kirina spoke, a small smile on her face as she thought of her newest team. He was glad it was working out for her better than her old student, Ikumo Kurama. It was such a shame what happened to that girl. Perhaps he should have Jiraiya look into her situation after the Chunin exams were over. Like Asuma, Kirina was unaware of the invasion. For now the two of them would be informed after the first part of the exams had begun, and it was too late for them to remove their students. More murmurs arose, whispering about the two rookie teams. Most of the other teachers were now looking expectantly at Kakashi, who was reading a pink book. Hiruzen gave a small cough, and Kakashi looked up, blinking. I submit my team. Hiruzen knew Kakashi was just acting like his carefree persona to throw off any suspicion the other Junin might have, but it was still irritating. He gave a small glare to Kakashi, who gave an eye smile. I Kakashi Hatake, submit my students, Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, and Naruto Uzumaki, to participate in the upcoming exams. Kakashi, due to his close relationship with Naruto, knew of the invasion. He knew his team would be directly in danger, but he also realized that if they wanted a chance to catch Orochimaru, then they needed to offer up Sasuke as bait. Wait a minute. Iruka, a chunin who taught the class of rookies, protested. What is it, Hokage-sama? Please let me say one thing. Iruka paused only long enough to receive a nod from him before continuing. This may be presumptuous, but as for the 9 names just given, I was in charge of them during the academy. Admittedly, they were all students with ability, but it is too soon. They shouldn't be tested until they had more experience. I became a chunin when I was 6 years younger than Naruto is now, Kakashi said, turning to the chunin. Naruto is different than you. Do you want to crush Naruto, who was the last of his class? Kakashi's visible eye narrowed. Do not presume to know my students better than I do, especially Naruto. He is easily the strongest of the rookies. It is just that though they are rookies, new to the shinobi ways, He watched as Kakashi released a small amount of killing intent. They know more than enough to qualify for the Chunin exams. They only graduated a few months ago. Enough. Hiruzen finally spoke up, stopping the two shinobi from furthering their argument. The rookie teams will be ready in time. While some may not pass, they will learn and grow stronger from this. Iruka frowned but bowed his head in acceptance. Let us continue on. Igai Mato, submit my students Tenten, Lee Rock, and Niji Hyuga to participate in the upcoming exams, Guy said, giving a grin and a thumbs up. Guy was one of the few Junins aware of the invasion. Despite being loud and boisterous, the man knew how to keep a secret and was one of his most loyal shinobi. He listened as other Jounin submitted their teams, and wondered which of the teams would be able to withstand Ibuki's mind bombs. So many shinobi were slated to show up, twice as many teams as normal. Hundreds of teams would show up, and while a good half of them would be from Konoha, the other half was made up primarily of teams from the other main villages. Only about 5 of the 100 or so teams were actually from minor villages. Usually the makeup of the exams was 75% of the teams would be from the hosting village. He caught the eyes of Kakashi, Kurone, and Asuma and motioned for them to stay behind. The 3 instructors did, standing at attention. As I mentioned earlier to Iruka, the students will be ready in time to do this. You will each trade your teams for a week. For the next 2 weeks, in these 2 weeks you will train the other students, and look for ways in which they can improve their skills. At the end of these 2 weeks we will gather them all here, and give them their evaluation and recommendations for what they should train themselves in by the end. Yurina, Asuma, and Kakashi all nodded. I understand, Hokage-sama. Good. Inform your teams today, and you will begin the training tomorrow. The 3 Junin vanished in a small swirl of leaves, Kakashi moving first, prompting the other 2 Jounin to follow his example. Annoying heroes. As the leaves sat on the ground, they couldn't bother to walk out. They had to shunshinu Kakashi. He shined out of the room, inwardly laughing as he imagined the Hokage's reaction. It was the little things that were always the best. Still, at least he didn't leave via the window like Jiraiya tended to do. Kurone and Asuma appeared next to him a moment later, as he appeared at the memorial stone. I will take Kurone's team first, and Asuma's team the second week, which means I get Asuma's team first, and I get Kakashi's team, Asuma said, grinning. I can't wait to see how Naruto is doing. Let's go inform our teams then. Kurone spoke. Kakashi watched as Asuma and Kurone vanished in swirls of leaves. He turned after a moment and left to go to Jiraiya and Naruto's house. He knocked on the door. Who is it? Jiraiya called. It's me. The door opened and Kakashi continued. I'm calling a team meeting. Have Naruto grab Sakura, please. Alright. I'll let him know. Kakashi left off to the Uchiha district and found Sasuke training by himself. Even though he told them to take the rest of the day off earlier before he was called by the Hokage, so he grabbed the boy, scolding him as he brought the boy to the team meeting spot and saw Naruto and Sakura waiting for him. Good. All of you are here. Tomorrow we will be starting something special. Kakashi started, and sighed when he saw the amused glint in Naruto's eyes, purposely revealing he already knew what was going on. You will be trained for the next 2 weeks by Asuma and Kurone. Asuma will work with you for 1 week, and after that you will be working with Kurone. Why are we training with the other senseis? Won't they be working with their own teams? Sakura questioned. We are doing a team swap, Kakashi answered, waving a hand dismissively. But why? Sakura pressed. It's likely so the teachers can get a fresh perspective, and to see if another teacher can determine if a student should learn something that their original teacher doesn't think about. Sasuke gave a scoff. Kakashi is the most experienced Jounin between the 3. What would the others be able to offer? Kurone is the Jinjutsu mistress of Konoha. She is hailed to be the best at non-doujutsu Jinjutsus, Naruto offered, which I don't need to learn since I have my Sharingan. She is also a skill tracker, being able to easily spot hidden signs of a shinobi's presence. It's why she is the sensei of Hinata, Shino, and Kiba. They are to make a tracker squad. Because Kurone often works with the T&I department, she is best friends with Ankoma Terashi and is on a friendly acquaintance with Ibuki. He brought up to his student, disliking that Sasuke seemed to be dismissing Kurone. Sasuke didn't look impressed. What about Asuma? Sakura questioned, looking interested. Asuma Saratobi is one of Sandaime-sama's sons. He is a wind and fire user, and was once a member of the 12 Guardian Ninjas, which was created by the daimyo as a protection unit. Eventually the group was disbanded and Asuma returned to Konoha. He is an extremely skilled elemental jutsu user. At least Sasuke seemed somewhat interested in Asuma. Sakura seemed hesitant, but curious. Naruto of course was interested, but Kakashi knew that his fellow Jounin wouldn't be able to point out anything new that the boy didn't already know. Jinjutsu was ill-suited for Naruto. Asuma would probably be able to give Naruto some wind tips, but then again maybe not. It just depended on how skilled Madara was with wind jutsus, which the Uchiha apparently had known. Kakashi just shook his head. Naruto's gift to see spirits was so unfair. Kyurnyu. She stared at her students as they sat in front of her. They had been practicing taijutsu, just as she had told them to when she had been summoned. Kakashi, Asuma, and I have agreed to do a special training method for the next couple of weeks. Her three students looked up interested. Special training? Kiba questioned, leaping up. Yes, we will be switching teams. Starting tomorrow you will spend a week with Kakashi, and then a week with Asuma. They will be going over your skills, and training you in what they think is best. This sounds beneficial. Why? Because we will be getting critique from other strong jounins. Shino spoke, nodding in approval. Yeah, we can't show off how awesome we are to the other senseis. Kiba shouted, and Ikamaru gave a bark in agreement. Hinata just gave a small smile. It seems like a good idea, she added quietly. Kurenai smiled, glad her team was so accepting of the training they would be going through. Good to see you so eager. The three teams will be meeting at the Memorial Stone tomorrow. Asuma breathed out a cloud of smoke, and looked at his students. He had just told them about the team swap, and was now seeing how they would react. It was sad how predictable they were. Shikamaru gave his standard troublesome. Chaji just looked interested and ate his chips. Ino frowned, and seemed disinterested, saying that the other two junins weren't worth her time, and that she was fine sticking with her clan techniques. Unfortunately, that seemed a sentiment that his students seemed to follow all too much. While their clan techniques were a good starting point, they really needed to branch out a bit more. Unfortunately, none of them were suited to wind or fire. They didn't even bother asking for help with learning the elements they do have. Ino had water, and both Shikamaru and Chaji had earth. He offered to teach them how to start their elemental training, but they said they wanted to work on their clan techniques. Asuma drew in another lungful of smoke, and gave a long breath out. Hopefully the other jounin would be able to motivate his team to improve themselves beyond their clan techniques. Kakashi. He sighed as he got up, and made his way over to the memorial stone where the three teams were gathering. He saw that Naruto and Sakura stared at the stone in respectful silence for a minute, while Sasuke ignored it. At least two of his students knew the importance of honoring fallen comrades, though it was a given that Naruto would have a great respect for the dead. After all, they often treated him better than the living did. He frowned as he watched Asuma's team. Shikamaru leaned against a tree, and stared at the sky. Chaji ate his chips out of one of Naruto's food scrolls, and Ino was fawning over Sasuke earring Sakura's ire. Kakashi sighed, and he had been doing so good on working on Sakura's fangirl tendencies. His eye roamed over the training field, and he saw Hinata and Shino make their way over to Naruto, and start chatting with him quietly. Kiba didn't look happy at his teammates leaving him though. He watched as the boy stood in silence before shouting out at Naruto, calling him a dumbass dead last. Kakashi scowled, but he noted Naruto's vaguely amused expression. Don't insult Naruto-cha. He is way stronger than you, mutt, Sakura shouted, surprising the others as she came to Naruto's defense. Oh, does this mean you're interested in the idiot? Ino questioned, flipping her hair. As if, he's my teammate, and Sensei has always told us that those who abandon their teammates are worse than scum. Kakashi beamed proudly and decided he needed to reward Sakura. He looked to his fellow jounin who were also taking the time to observe the kids, and they nodded. The three shined down. The students became quiet as they looked at them. Kakashi's team, with me, Asuma called out and left, his three students following after the man. Asuma's team, Kurenai called out, smiling as the three students followed her. So you're Kurenai's brats, Kakashi stated, looking at the three kids. Today you will be doing the bell test, he informed them, holding up two bells as he gave an eye grin. Bell test? The Kiba questioned. Yes, the person who doesn't get a bell will be forced to play the role of Ahiruk in Pink Humiliation. Kakashi gave an eye grin and ignored how the sky darkened around him. He seemed to be feeling particularly vindictive today. How odd. The three genin all paled, and looked at the bells nervously. Well, you have until the timer goes off, Kakashi said, setting the timer to go off in 3 hours. The three scattered quickly, leaving him all alone in a clearing. He put the bells on his waist and pulled out Jiraiya's book, and smiled as he read how Ahiruk was forced to dress like a teenage girl who was obsessed with pink, and sing an embarrassing song. Shino and Hinata attacked him. Shino used his bugs as a distraction, with Hinata keeping to his supposed blind spot. It seemed that they worked well together, but where was Kiba? Did they exclude him? Or did Kiba deny working with them? Ah, there he was. Kakashi substituted with the log as Kiba came barreling out of trees. The three continued to attack him, trying various strategies, but they failed to get the bells. Still, at least they were working together. Of course, they should be. If they hadn't by this point, he would have been disappointed in Kurenai. Kakashi gave a frown, feeling as if he had somehow managed to compliment Kurenai with that sentence. But why were his thoughts like that? Kurenai was a fellow jounin, and highly skilled, so why would he feel disgust when thinking of her? As if complimenting her was something to be avoided. His visible eye narrowed. Something was wrong, and he needed to figure out just what was going on. Absent-mindedly he threw a few kune at the genin, ignoring their yelps. He should visit Inoichiu Kurenai. She led Asuma's team to her training field and looked at the three. How about we start with introducing ourselves? I'll start. My name is Kurenai. I like jinjutsus. And I dislike those who believe jinjutsu is a worthless ninja branch. My dream is to successfully teach my team and watch them become successful ninja. My name is Ino Yamanaka. I like Sasuke and my clan techniques. I dislike Forehead Girl. My dream is to win Sasuke-kun's heart and become the head of the Yamanaka clan. Kurenai showed no reaction to it, but inwardly she frowned. It seemed Ino was a fangirl, but she would have to see if Ino let that stop her from becoming a better ninja. Two types of fangirls existed, the detrimental kind and the useful kind. The detrimental fangirls let their crushes overtake their training, and they became weak, and were a liability. The useful kind used their crush as a motivation to get stronger. I'm Chaji Akimichi, I like chips, and I dislike those who call me fat. My dream is to become a strong clan head. She gave a nod to him. Decent, had a bit of work ethic if he wanted to be a strong clan head. Did seem like he would be easy to taunt though? Shikamaru gave a sigh. Troublesome. I'm Shikamaru Nara, I like cloud gazing, I dislike troublesome stuff, and my dream is to be a completely average ninja, marry a non-troublesome woman, and have 2 kids. Kurenai's sweat dropped. Shikamaru seemed to have no work effort, though he didn't know where he wanted to go in his life. Perhaps she should see if she could encourage him to work a bit harder. Thank you. Now I want to see what you 3 know, so we shall be having a spar. We began a minute ago, she said, giving a smile as she disappeared in a shimmer, and the 3 genin realized that they were tied to a tree. Jinjutsu, troublesome, Shikamaru stated, sighing and giving a small pulse of his chakra, breaking the simple jinjutsu. Kurenai gave a nod as he broke himself free of the jinjutsu, and then watched as he freed Ino and Chaji. She weaved a couple small jinjutsus, messing with their senses. She watched as they came at her and stood still as they missed her, being off by a few inches. They looked startled, and Shikamaru tried to catch her in a shadow. She let the jinjutsu version of herself continue to distract them as she sat in the tree. The Yamanaka clan heir was disappointing. As a member of the clan that specialized in mind arts, she expected the heiress to be able to realize that something was messing with her mind. Shikamaru took another minute, but he did realize that they were under more jinjutsus, and broke himself out of them. She allowed the jinjutsus to fall, even if she could have kept them up. He seemed to have a talent for at least realizing he was in a jinjutsu. Chaji blinked as he stopped his ball technique, which he had used to try and land a hit on her. The 3 did have good teamwork, but overall they lacked skills outside of their clans. Taijutsu only now, she called out and rushed towards them, startling the 3 genin as they tried to defend against her quick attacks. After a few minutes she had the information she needed on their defense, and backed away to see what sort of offense they would have. Ino had a very defensive style. She was meant to get some distance, and to stay away. Not only that, but she always kept within 10 feet of Shikamaru. Shikamaru also was defensive, but he constantly scanned for openings, and occasionally made a strike if he thought he could land it. Chaji on the other hand was offensive, relying on Shikamaru and Ino to protect him as he made to attack. Finally, she called the spar done, and told him to do as many laps around the training field as they could. It was time to check their endurance. Oh Asuma, oh. Asuma stared at the 3 genin. They stared back. He would be working with Kakishi's students for the next week, and while Naruto might not be so bad, he was not looking forward to the Uchiha kid. He brought out a shogi board. He looked at the 3, and then pointed to the pink-haired girl, Sakura Haruno, if he remembered correctly. Do you know how to play shogi? She gave a nod. Good. You will play against me and answer questions as we play. You have 30 seconds to decide what move to make while answering my questions. The girl nodded and sat across from him. Name? He questioned, moving a piece. Sakura Haruno, she replied, moving a piece. Favorite color? Red, she answered. Back and forth it went in. As the game progressed she became more distracted, either by answering the questions, or trying to play the game. Who do you like? Who do you hate? What do you think of your teammates? What is your favorite element? What do you want to do? It was a barrage of questions, switching between different topics rapidly. The questions only ended when Asuma won the game, which lasted about 20 moves, 10 from each of them. You next, Asuma said, point to Sasuke. Name? Sasuke Uchiha. Favorite color? Dark blue. Again Asuma asked questions, and Sasuke answered. He managed to last a little longer, making the game last for about 30 moves. Both of the games were short games when the normal shogi game lasted about 100 moves. Alright Naruto, for you we are dropping the time to 10 seconds, Asuma stated. Okay, name Naruto, the boy answered with a cheeky grin. Favorite color? Gray. Who is your best friend? Deidara and Shino are both equal to me. Least favorite person? Classified. Naruto retorted with a grin. Asuma chuckled. What do you think of your teammates? He questioned, making another move in the more rapid-paced game. Sakura is alright, Sasuke needs to work on his attitude, Naruto replied, looking at him as he made his move, seemingly not paying attention to the board. Favorite element? Fire, followed by wind. What do you want to do? Become Hokage. Who inspires you to be a better ninja? The shinobi who came before us. How much chakra do you have? I don't know. A lot. On the questions went as they played, and Asuma started to ask the first random questions that popped into his head. Do you like unicorns? And Naruto blinked for a second before shrugging. No opinion. Do you like writing? That's more something my godfather does. Favorite genre? Books or movies? And Naruto questioned back with a grin. Books. Fictional? Movies? Same, Naruto answered, a smug smirk stretching across his face as he placed a piece. Asuma rolled his eyes, and they continued playing. More questions were asked and answered. Inarizushi or ramen? Both. Pick one. I like them both equally, and will not say otherwise. Checkmate. Asuma gave a sigh as he looked at the board. Good job. You beat me in 84 moves. Naruto just chuckled. That was a fun match, Asuma. It has been a while since we played, and you have gotten better. Well, I have played against Shikamaru. Asuma gave a nod, and put away the shogi board. Alright, I have finished my test to see how you three responded to pressure. Now I shall test your skills when you have different senses taken away. Sasuke, you will be blindfolded. Sakura, you will be deafened. Naruto, you will be blindfolded and deafened. The three nodded, and he handed out the blindfolds and earmuffs. Once they were on, he started the fight. Immediately he noticed Naruto turn towards him. Sakura turned to him as well, and Sasuke took a second to locate him from Sakura speaking. Yet the main question was how Naruto was able to know where he was. Unless Naruto was a censor, or had training in sensory techniques. Asuma shook his fondly. That brat managed to do the impossible, it seemed. He fought against the three, and saw how they fought with their senses taken away. Sasuke had his hearing, but ignored Sakura's advice on what to do, choosing to charge or use a ninjutsu. Sakura didn't have her hearing, and so couldn't hear Sasuke telling her to be quiet, that he didn't need her help. Naruto seemed to be trying to use both of his teammates' moves to actually corner him. But there was no actual cohesiveness between the three. Sasuke ignored his teammates, and nearly put Naruto into danger if the boy hadn't gotten away. Asuma shook his head, wondering if something was wrong with Sasuke mentally. He knew from Kakashi that the man had repeatedly tried to drill in teamwork to the stubborn boy, but nothing seemed to work. Sometimes something did for a few days, but after that the boy returned to normal. He would have a lot of work ahead of him this week to see if he could improve the three. Kakashi. He dismissed the three genin he was currently teaching, watching how they collapsed with exhaustion. He needed to see Inoichi. Immediately. He knew his thinking was changing, and it was becoming worse the longer he waited. He should have gone to Inoichi at the beginning of the week when he first thought of something as wrong. Kakashi had never trained Team 7 as hard as he had trained Kirane's team, and he was pretty sure Hinata was terrified of him. They had improved a lot though under the week-long training session. He even started them on some things they could work on. Kiba, he had found the boy could be silent, and so he taught Kiba the hiding like a mole technique, and recommended the boy focused more on infiltration. It would definitely be useful, especially with the boy's new technique. Kiba managed to transform into a Kamaru when doing the man-beast clone technique under pressure. Now he could replicate it for a new technique. Hinata, he had learned, was working on a new Hyuga stance. Since the earth-based stance did not work for her, apparently Hinata had a fire element. He gave her a few ideas for how to improve her stances, and weakness she currently had. Shino surprisingly had water affinity. This was learned when Shino asked him for a water jutsu. So Kakashi taught him the basics for the water wall jutsu. Kakashi walked away from the genin after summoning 3 shadow clones to help them home. Though another part of his mind argued that leaving them to walk home by themselves would help make them stronger. He finally made it to the Yamanaka's flower shop, and entered. Hello, Inoichi's head popped out from the back door. Kakashi, what can I do for you today? Well, I think something is affecting my mind. Inoichi's eyebrow rose up. That is worrying. I assume you tried dispelling a jinjutsu. Kakashi gave a nod, feeling insulted that the man thought would fall prey to something weak like a jinjutsu. Kakashi frowned at that. It appears a lot whenever I see Kirani, or someone mentions jinjutsu. There is a strange hatred of the two. Alright, well, come on back, and I can take a look. Kakashi followed Inoichi to the back and sat down on the chair offered. As you know, the use of my clan jutsu will put us in your mind. Because of this I may end up seeing secrets that you are privy to. Any discovered secrets will not be used against you, and any classified info will be kept guarded in my mind. Knowing that I can learn classified info, do you still want to proceed? Yes. These thoughts are becoming more prominent. Very well then. Mind exploration jutsu. Inoichi intoned, holding a hand seal. Kakashi looked around as he was pulled into his mind. He saw Inoichi standing next to him, also observing his mindscape. He appeared to be on an island. Where they stood was bright and sunny, peaceful and relaxed. But the other half of the small island was dark, lighting flashing down, and waves crashing against cliff walls. Interesting, your mind appears split into two. Kakashi startled at that. Looking inquisitively at Inoichi. Split into two? Yes, it would seem that someone, or something is intruding upon your mind. A slow clap rang out. Bravo, you figured it out. The two looked at the darker side of the island as a figure emerged from the shadows. He looked exactly like Kakashi. Except as I had a harder look in it, and he didn't exude a carefree or a like Kakashi normally did. The air around him was dark, and little bits of lightning came from him. Who are you? Inoichi asked. Kakashi Hatake, the man answered, his voice taking a mocking tone, as if Inoichi should have figured it out for himself. How? You don't act like me, Kakashi questioned the other version of himself. Obviously, the other version sneered. Kakashi decided to just refer to the other version of himself as Hatake. From what I have observed so far, we are from different dimensions, in which things have gone differently. Kakashi gave a frown, trying to recall something Naruto had mentioned in passing the other day. Something to do with seals and Tobirama and Madara. As he remembered, he groaned. Those two idiots. Both Hatake and Inoichi looked at him. You know what happened? He waved a hand. I have an idea. Leave me with Hatake here, and go get Naruto, please. He will be able to help since it was a sealing accident that caused this. Inoichi nodded. Very well. Hatake tilted his head. So your Naruto messes with seals as well? Yes, he does, Kakashi answered with an eye grin. Hatake returned it. Naruto is such a cute little menace. I wonder, what sort of differences exist between our teams? The dark aura disappeared around his other self as the man seemed to lighten up with Inoichi gone. Kakashi shrugged. Why don't you tell me about your team? Alright. I am the Jounin sensei of Team 7, the second team to ever pass my bell test. At first they were rough, but with training quickly became a cohesive unit that understands teamwork is important. Sasuke Uchiha is our resident water expert. Kakashi raised a questioning eyebrow at this, and so Hatake elaborated. During the massacre, Itachi burned down the Uchiha district, and this has left Sasuke with a fear of fire. After the wave mission, he has also started working on training with the executioner's blade. Sakura Haruno has become our medic, and is working under Shizune in the hospital. And Naruto created seals that would allow us to see the dead, and is working on creating a seal to allow us to hear them instead of just writing words. In particular, Tobirama has taken to spending time with us. Sasuke in particular has become his apprentice, Hatake informed, but Kakashi couldn't help but think some info was being left off. Your Sasuke works with his team? Kakashi questioned, deciding that it didn't matter if Hatake was keeping some stuff secret. Yes, a near-death experience helped with that. Kakashi nodded. Interesting. Well, like you, I am the Jounin sensei of Team 7. But they are the only team to ever pass my bell test. This was mostly due to Naruto being able to manipulate the other two to work together briefly. Sasuke is one of the worst kinds of Uchiha, stuck up, and arrogant, very different from his father. Sakura has also taken up Ryujutsu, though I am unaware of who she is apprenticed under. Naruto is Konoha's spy master. As I'm sure you know, though he hasn't made a seal to allow us to see spirits yet. Hatake blinked. Konoha's spy master? Kakashi tilted his head. Yes. Did your Naruto not become a spy master after he started seeing ghosts? My Naruto only developed the seal during the wave mission. Before he couldn't see spirits. You make it sound like your Naruto had the ability for a long time. He did, ever since he was a toddler. Don't know what happened though. But, he has used this ability with the help of Madara, Hashirama, and Tobirama to benefit Konoha. Hatake looked at him. Your Madara helps Konoha? Yes. Why wouldn't he? Hatake shrugged. I guess my Madara and Tobirama are a bit different from yours. So this is your mind, Kaka-sensei? Naruto spoke, appearing with Inoichi. Naruto looked at Hatake, and narrowed his eyes. Why do you have two of you, your guardian, and Sad's brother? Kakashi deadpanned. Naruto shook his head. Alright, Inoichi, when you leave can you say out loud, Naruto wants you to enter. After you say that, just leave us be, we can exit when we want. Inoichi gave a strange look but nodded. Classified reasons, I presume, he drawled. Yes. Inoichi just shrugged, and disappeared. A moment later, and Kakashi watched as Madara appeared standing with his arms crossed. What is going on? Whatever you and Tobirama did was not fixed, Naruto said flatly, gesturing towards Hatake. Madara turned towards him, and raised an eyebrow. Interesting. It seems that there were multiple instances then. And not just the one we fixed. Madara's sweat dropped after a moment. I hope there hasn't been too many instances, Kakashi gave him. I smile, good to finally see you. And not just know you are reading over my shoulder, Madara snickered. Reading the old pervert's books are interesting. Hatake observed the interactions with a slight head tilt. You look quite different from my Naruto. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Do I now? Well, I'm not surprised. We have had different life experiences. I presume Madara gave a scoff. Unless the other version of you was experimented on by Orochimaru with Edo Tensei eyes, then we can't assume the other version of you is way different. Hatake's eye widened. Edo Tensei eyes? Yes. It's not a big deal, Naruto said, waving a hand dismissively. Kakashi of course filed that information for later. What about Makuten? Do you have it? Hatake further questioned as Madara started wandering around, pulling out papers and making notes. Why would I have Hashi-chan's bloodline? My version of you does strange, but no, I doubt I can have the Makuten. Why do you think that? Hatake asked. I already have a bloodline, Naruto answered shortly, making it clear he would rather not talk about it. Though, what bloodline? Kakashi asked, interested, ignoring the raised eyebrow from Hatake. Naruto didn't reply. Madara sighed. You shouldn't keep it a secret from your sensei, Naruto. Naruto glared at Madara. Do not think of telling him, Madara. He does not need to know. Madara narrowed his eyes before smirking. Sorry, brat. But Kakashi should know that you have the Sharingan. Naruto huffed and turned away, not looking at any of them. Kakashi frowned, and looked at Madara questioningly. He feels like if people knew they would think less of him, despite that he never actually uses it. Madara signed in response. Kakashi nodded and went over to Naruto. Is that all? I never seen you use the Sharingan, despite it being a powerful tool. Naruto just shrugged. I don't need it, perhaps not. But you should never let a tool go to waste. Hatake spoke. Now I have too much scolding me, Naruto muttered, falling into a depressive cloud. Kakashi sighed. Naruto, you know you have people who support you, Jiraiya, and I your spirits, both the Hokage, and Sachikage, Deidara, and all the guards who have gone with you to your Janken tournaments. If you would actually let the rest of Konoha know how strong you were, they would overlook the fact that you hold Kurama. Naruto shrugged. I know, but I don't want Konoha to think I stole the Sharingan or anything. That's stupid. Idiots who believe that clearly don't know how bloodlines work, Hatake said, rolling his eye. Naruto, come look over the seal, Madara stated. Kakashi watched as Naruto went over to Madara, and the two started going on about some seal jargon that went over his head. Finally the two nodded. Alright, the seal is ready to fix this. Will the first return to my own conscious you are just a copy of your dimension's consciousness. Your real self was unaffected by the dimensional rift to Birama, and I created. Hatake frowned at this. So if me being here will not affect my real self, then why should I leave? Because you are affecting my thoughts, actions, and it is interfering with my day-to-day life, Kakashi answered. Hatake shrugged. It's not my fault that your mind is easily influenced by another set of memories. Kakashi frowned, and wondered whether that was supposed to be an insult, or a simple fact. If Hatake was anything like himself, then it was meant to just be a fact. Instead he chose to question Hatake on the most important part, that he was influenced by. Why do you hate Kurenai so much? Hatake scowled. She is the reason my first team died. Kakashi's eyes widened. What? Hatake shrugged. I was injured, and right before my team's first C rank, Kurenai offered to go with them so they wouldn't have to cancel and pick a different team. She was a Takubetsu Jounin, just promoted to that rank, but I thought she would be able to handle any difficulties that came up on the C rank. I was wrong. I see. Still having you in my mind is detrimental. Hatake sighed. Just one last thing then that I wish to know. What is it? What do you know about our bloodline? Our bloodline? Kakashi questioned. Yes, the Tsutomu-Ringan. I never even heard of it. The Tsutomu-Ringan is the Daojutsu of the Ryu clan, Madara answered. It is activated when the user is struck by a small zap. The Daojutsu allows the user to summon storm clouds and to call forth rain and lightning. Kakashi shook his head. I never activated it myself. Hatake just nodded. Are you sure? I can't stay. Kakashi debated keeping Hatake around. Man had information about stuff Kakashi didn't know, but by doing so his own mind would be affected by the thoughts of Hatake. If you want Hatake to stay, we can't create a seal that should minimize his influence. Kinda like the seal with me and Kurama. You would be able to chat, but your minds would be kept separate. It is certainly a tough choice. After all, how many people can say they had an alternate version of themselves inside their head? But did he really want Hatake to be in his head? After another moment, he made his choice. Asuma. He gave a sigh as he looked over the teams. The first week was over, and now they were once more switching teams. The first week had been quite busy. Kakashi's team was a handful to deal with. Sasuke was stoic and silent, but he kept glaring at Naruto, and trying to be better than Naruto. Naruto wasn't that much better though, and that he chose to ignore Sasuke, though Asuma had heard the rumors that these two fought when they did speak. Then there was Sakura, stuck in the middle. She obviously liked Sasuke, but it also seems that she had some respect for Naruto, and that made her hesitate in which side to pick. Still, even with his difficulties with getting them to work together, he saw some room for improvement in their skills. For Naruto, his use of fire was amazing, but his wind affinity was quite lacking. Asuma had to wonder where Naruto learned to use fire in such a manner. Only the Uchiha had ever mastered fire to such an extent. Perhaps Fugaku taught Naruto. They were somewhat close last he heard. Sasuke wasn't as skilled with fire, but he seemed to be learning a lot of taijutsu. Thing was, almost all of his skills were offensive, and he lacked defensive skills. Nor did Sasuke seem inclined to learn defensive skills. Sakura was learning medical ninjutsu, but her overall stamina and chakra pool was weak. She had a strong spiritual half, but her physical half was lacking. He had already set her to start a new morning routine that should help. He looked over at his students, and saw that they looked decent. Shikamaru had a glint in his eye. Looked like he found something interesting. Aino was frowning and looking down at a notebook. Chaji seemed the least changed of all. Finally he looked at Kirane's team, who he would be getting next. They seemed run down, and they kept sending nervous looks at Kakashi, who was giving one of his eye smiles. Something had been off with him for the past week, but he seemed a bit better today. He gave a nod to the other two senseis, and the three split, taking their new teams with them. Asuma gave a smile to Kiba, Shino, and Hinata as he pulled out his Shaji board. Do you three know how to play? Kiba shook his head no, but Shino and Hinata both answered positively. Alright, then you will go last. Kiba, watch as we play, and I'll give you a basic rundown. Now Hinata, you will play against me and answer questions as we play. You have 30 seconds to decide what move to make while answering my questions. Sound good? Yes, Hinata answered. Let's begin then. Kiryu. Kurenai looked over Kakashi's team, which was very different than Asuma's team. For one, they were obviously a lot more motivated, but to counter that, they were way worse in teamwork. And that was just from an initial observation. She smiled encouragingly. Alright, let's start by introducing ourselves. My name is Kirina Yuhi. I like Jinjutsus, and I dislike those who believe Jinjutsu is a worthless ninja branch. My dream is to successfully teach my team, and watch them become successful ninja. My name is Sakura Hiruno. I like my teammates. I dislike those who look down on me because I don't come from a clan. Sakura paused. For a moment, my dream is to become a good medic. Kirini smiled at Sakura, and nodded. But it didn't escape her notice that Naruto seemed to be pretty happy when she said she liked her teammates. Perhaps that was a recent thing then. Nor did it escape her notice that he gave a small nod. It could be he had one of those thoughts. Still, at least she had a good work ethic, wanting to be a good medical ninja. Maybe she could teach her a few supplemental jinjutsu since she obviously has good chakra control. Kurenai looked to Sasuke next, who gave an annoyed look. I am Sasuke Uchiha. I like my clan. I dislike those who disrespect my clan. I have no dream. Instead, my goal is to kill Itachi and bring him to justice for his slaughter of my clan, Sasuke muttered with a glower. Naruto scoffed at that, and Sakura blinked and frowned a bit. It was quite a thing to state, though obviously Sasuke was driven. But he wasn't driven for the right reason. What about after you kill Itachi? Kurenai questioned. I will work on rebuilding my clan. Kurenai gave a nod, though she frowned mentally. She would have to try and break him of his vengeance drive. Finally, though, her gaze turned to the last student. The boy gave a bright grin. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like a lot of stuff. I dislike those who judge others unfairly. My dream is to become Hokage, very driven, perhaps too much though. She should try and make him less optimistic, and reach for a more reasonable goal. He was the dead last after all. It would crush his spirit to fail at being Hokage. You can do it, Naruto, Sakura said with a smile. Though, what's this? Had a change of heart from a couple months ago. Sakura seemed to get flustered at that. Baka. That was before I knew how strong you were. Kurenai paused at that, wondering what Sakura meant at that. Either Naruto had gotten stronger from leaving, or had been better than what the academy reports had indicated. Thank you. Now I want to see what you three know, so we shall be having a spar. We began a minute ago, she said, giving a smile as she disappeared in a shimmer, and the three genin realized that they were tied to a tree. Not a moment later, the three of them broke out of the Jinjutsu, Sakura and Naruto by dispelling it, and Sasuke by activating his clan's Daojutsu. It seemed he had fully evolved eyes. That was to be expected, though after the massacre. He has had plenty of time to train his eyes. Still, he shouldn't rely on his eyes to break out of them. She could still target his other senses. She placed a small Jinjutsu on all of them, and watched as only Naruto seemed to notice as he broke out of them before coming after her. The three were at least attacking together, but it was in formations and attack patterns that were obviously drilled into them. There was no flexibility in their attacks. A moment later she saw why. She left an opening for them. But they would need to break the pattern to do so. Naruto saw it and moved into attack. But so did Sasuke, and he also moved in. The two ended up colliding with each other, and then Sasuke shouted at Naruto. Despite that Naruto had been the one closer to the opening, Kyurni sighed as she used this time to knock Sakura out. Naruto being the one who tried to stop her. If Sasuke hadn't been so distracted by yelling at Naruto, he would have been able to help. How disappointing. The three of them were skilled, but they lacked teamwork. Mostly due to the Uchiha it seemed. As she dodged the jutsu from Naruto she sighed. Taijutsu only now. First she tested their defensive capabilities, before their offensive capabilities. Sasuke was an offensive person, he mostly evaded attacks instead of defending, but it worked with his Sharingan. Naruto was of course surprising in that he had high defense, offense, and good evasion skill. Yet, some of his moves seemed similar to Sasuke's taijutsu, but others were completely different. It seemed he was mixing two taijutsu styles together, which was very advanced for a genin. Sakura had a more academy-style taijutsu, but she saw finesse in her movements, and a few non-textbook moves that showed she was improving. Decent defense, and offense for a genin, but nothing special. Finally, she called the spar done, and told them to do as many laps around the training field as they could. It was time to check their endurance. Kakashi looked down at the three students. So you're Asuma's brats. Today you will be doing the bell test, Kakashi said with an eye grin as he held up two bells. Bell test? Ino asked. He snickered, and let a dark aura come out, watching the three students shiver. It seems like Hatake was useful after all. Get on with it, Hatake prodded as Kakashi continued to build suspense. Yes, you three will be fighting me to get these bells. As there are only two bells, whoever doesn't get one will be forced to play the role of Ahiruk in pink humiliation. The three students eyed the bells nervously, and shared glances. Well, you have until the timer goes off, he spoke with a grin, setting the timer to go off in 3 hours. An hour passed with none of the three making an appearance. I wonder what they are planning, Kakashi thought to Hatake, who he had decided to keep around. Hokage-sama still had to be informed, and it would be his decision that either kept Hatake around, or got rid of him. Kakashi hopped the Hokage, allowed Hatake to stay. I don't know, in my world the three had developed a few good trapping strategies. Well, they need to come to me to get the bells, so I will wait to see what they are planning. Another hour passed, and Kakashi had moved to sit in a tree as he read an Icha book. Though he had heard that Jiraiya was working on a new book for the humiliation series, the timer went off and there had been no sign of the three. Kakashi blinked, and searched for the three missing students, and found them nowhere on the training field. Those three brats just left, Kakashi spoke out loud. Static fizzled around him, charging the air as his eye narrowed. Oh, that is it. They are going to pay. At least they showed teamwork and they're running away. Hatake spoke up with a snicker. The next hour he spent hunting them down. When he found them he made his presence clear, and fully utilized Hatake's scary aura skills. He chased Asuma's brats all over Konoha for the rest of the day, not letting them have a break longer than a couple minutes, but not catching them either. When night fell he gathered them up, and told them to meet bright and early at the gate at 5 a.m. The next morning he only met them briefly to tell them to do warm-ups with Guy and Lee. Then he sat back and smirked as the three genin tried to keep up with the two taijutsu users, as at first they had to run, and then try and do the push-ups and sit-ups. After 3 hours of that he gathered them back up, and watched as they collapsed. Now that you have done your warm-up, let's start our training for the day. I know, Shikamaru, you two are going to run laps around the training ground while my clone chases you and throws Kyune and shuriken at whoever is the slowest. Chaji, you will be sparing against me. Start running, Kakashi said with a vicious eye grin as he created a clone. Let it be said that he can be extremely petty when he wanted to be. Hatake gave great advice as well. Shikamaru yelped as a Kyune hit him. Chaji whimpered as Kakashi started sparring with him. For the first 10 minutes he observed Chaji's fighting style, and then for the rest of the hour, he pointed out weaknesses and things that could be improved. About halfway through the hour dedicated to Chaji his shadow clone popped, and the memories of Ino and Shikamaru setting a trap, and dispelling his clone returned. So that's how they want to play it. Kakashi summoned two shadow clones, which shared identical looks as they leapt into the forest to hunt down the two troublesome students. Yelps of pain greeted his ears a couple minutes later, and he chuckled. After Chaji's hour was up he took Ino and worked with her for an hour, before working with Shikamaru. I think this will be a very fun week, Kakashi thought with a vicious grin as he gathered up the three exhausted students. 1 hour break for lunch, and then we will be taking 3D rank missions. Asuma's team groaned and collapsed. Ripping into the food Kakashi handed them, Just wait until they see what missions we have lined up for them. Inuzuka kennel cleaning, waste management, and finally sponge baths. Ah yes, he could be so very petty. Oh Asuma, oh. So this is it, Asuma muttered to his fellow jounin, as they gathered together at the end of the week. The past 2 weeks had been pretty intense, with a lot of training going on. Yeah it is, Kakashi nodded. Shall we get started with our assessments then? Sure. Sakura, come on up for your individual assessment. The 3 teachers watched Sakura, as she walked up to them, clearly nervous at being the first one called up. Sakura, from my observations you have a strong mind, but your body lacked physical training, so I set you to do a new morning routine. How is that working out for you? Asuma asked. It's going great, Asuma-sensei. Even though it's only been 2 weeks, I feel a lot better. Good, keep up the routine for the next month, and then increase the amount a bit. With you taking up Iraiajutsu you are well on your way to becoming a chunin. Sakura beamed happily. Now with me I taught you a couple of jinjutsus to supplement your current skills. Jinjutsus will never truly be your strength, but you can make a great sub-skill out of them. I would recommend only mastering the 2 jinjutsus I taught you now. Sakura, you were my student first and I can say that I have seen a lot of development from you. As such you deserve a reward. If there is something you want, let me know, and I will see what can be done. For now I believe you are doing well and to continue with what you are currently doing. Sakura nodded excitedly. Take your time to decide, Kakashi said with a nice smile as he dismissed her. Kiba, come on up, Kirine called out. Your skills are improving, Kakashi said with an eye grin as Kiba walked up. His steps, and chakra hidden to mask his presence. Kiba gave a fang grin. I really enjoy being able to sneak up on people, Kiba. While with me we worked on a technique, so that you could transform into a Kamaru. Have you refined that technique anymore? Yeah I have. Kiba answered, but didn't elaborate. While you worked with me we discovered you had a wind affinity, and worked on a couple wind jutsus. I recommend you keep up developing that new technique of yours. It will be a great benefit in the upcoming exams. Kirine gave a nod. I agree, continue training in what they were teaching you. For now they dismissed Kiba. He sure improved a lot under you too. Well, Kiba seems to have an inclination for infiltration, despite being loud. I just helped to refine those skills, and pointed out to him. Kakashi pointed out, waving a hand dismissively. I know, Kakashi barked out with a small chuckle of amusement as the girl jumped in surprise before rushing over. Geez, you have it out for my students? Asuma questioned as he saw how nervous Ino seemed around Kakashi. They annoyed me. Asuma winced. Kakashi had always been petty, but for some reason his pettiness had increased. I know with me I increased your physical strength, and pushed you past your limit daily. I believe I have also given you a glimpse that the ninja world isn't all roses and sunshine, that you will be forced to do disgusting things that you won't want to do. Remember this lesson, and reflect upon it. Asuma watched as Ino shuddered, a look of horror crossing her face. What did you do to her? He whispered to Kakashi as Kirine spoke to Ino. While you had been with me we went over your current skills, and decided what you could do to improve it. You decided to focus on poisons. How is that coming along? The more unsavory D ranks, Kakashi answered with an I grin. I think I am doing decent. While my team really annoyed you, they ran instead of doing the bell test. Asuma winced as Kirine shot him a pointed look. I hope you taken the lessons given to heart, and if you need help understanding then you should speak with one of us, or your father. With that said he dismissed Ino. Shino, you're up next, Kirine called out. Shino walked up, and looked at them silently. When you were learning from me you were forced to learn how to dodge, and that you can't always count on your bug clone to trick your enemies. You also already know your affinity for water techniques, which is uncommon in an Aburame. So I taught you a technique, and helped you learn what you needed to do in order to strengthen your water affinity, Kakashi said. While you were training with me, we mainly focused on strategy and using your available resources innovatively. While we didn't so much work on ninjutsu or taijutsu, the skills of the mind should not be dismissed so easily. Kirine smiled. A water affinity sounds like it will be very beneficial if you can learn how to use it with your Kikachu. Shino pushed his glasses up. Do not worry about that, sensei. Why? Because I have already started the process of mutating my Kikachu to be of a water variant. That's wonderful news. Alright, head on back, Kirine said, dismissing Shino. Chaji, Asuma called, waving the rotund boy over. Kirine smiled. While with me you proved to have quite decent chakra, stamina, and endurance. This is good for your more offensive style, but I also pointed out that you were quite short range, and only focused on your clan's taijutsu and techniques. Have you found something to help improve upon that? Yes, actually. Thanks to Kakashi I have found a weapon I will be buying. That sounds good. I look forward to seeing what sort of weapon you picked out, Asuma said. Chaji just gave a nod. How did your time with Chaji go? Asuma asked Kakashi. Same sort of lesson as I know. Nothing new with that. They dismissed Chaji, and called forth the next student. Naruto. Naruto walked up to them, his arms crossed, and a blank look on his face. Next to him Kakashi sighed. Knock it off, brat. Naruto stuck his tongue out. But he did seem to relax an impish smile on his face. When Naruto was with me we focused on advancing his wind chakra, Asuma answered. With me I helped to refine his Jinjutsu breaking skill. I was fairly surprised by just how good Naruto's chakra control was though really. Oh, I suppose that's right. You aren't as familiar with Naruto as Kakashi and I are, Asuma said. I'm sure you have a list of things you will be working on. Just make sure to not overwork yourself, Kakashi said, waving a hand dismissively. Shikamaru. Kakashi called out, getting the lazy student to make his way over. When I spent the week training with Shikamaru I discovered he was very talented at Jinjutsus. I recommend he learns Jinjutsus to complement his shadows. I just helped to remove some of his laziness, Kakashi answered flippantly. Troublesome sensei, Shikamaru grumbled in agreement. Asuma nodded to Kurone. I will make sure that Shikamaru continues to learn Jinjutsus then. Hinata, you're up next, Kurone called out after they dismissed Shikamaru. The girl walked up, and she actually looked different than she used to, though only slightly. Hinata now had a bow staff on her back. Hinata, while working with me, learned that her Hyuga stance was ineffective due to having a fire element instead of an earth element. So we worked on creating a new style to suit her better, and I taught her the great fireball jutsu. I further improved her new stance, and recommended getting a bow staff to help fend off attackers. While she just has a regular staff now, I recommended that she save for one that can't channel chakra. Alright, I will help Hinata further develop her new stance then. Is there anything you would like to add, Hinata? No, sensei. What Kakashi-sensei and Asuma-sensei said has covered everything, Hinata spoke in a soft voice. Alright, you're free to go now for our most troublesome student. Asuma muttered to his fellow Junin. Sasuke. Kurone sighed slightly as Sasuke walked over. Asuma raised an eyebrow as the teen glared at Kurone. Seems he didn't like the Jinjutsu mistress for some reason. Sasuke, while training with me I recommended you learn some defensive jutsus. Have you found anything? Asuma spoke up. The Uchiha crossed his arms and scowled. No, did you even bother to look? Kurone questioned. No, Sasuke once more said. Asuma sighed. I would recommend the next level of Earth Dome, the double-layer Earth Dome, Sasuke grunted. While Sasuke was with me I helped him to learn how to break out of Jinjutsus without relying on his eyes. Sasuke growled. You mean you tortured me with those Jinjutsus? Kurone gave a smile, and Kakashi and Asuma shuddered. Nonsense. I only helped increase your mental fortitude. You showed me Naruto's and Sakura's death. You forced me to watch myself kill them. It's not my fault that is your greatest fear, Kurone commented, looking down at Sasuke. If you care so much about your teammates that losing them is your greatest fear, no losing them by your own hand, then you should perhaps act like you care around them. Kurone's gaze was sharp as she stared at Sasuke. If you don't, you may push away your teammates permanently. That's what I want. I don't want to be friends with them. Why do you not want to be friends with your teammates? Kurone questioned. Do you see yourself above them? She added tauntingly. If I become friends with them, I'll be tempted to kill them for power. Sasuke shouted back angrily, before he froze as he realized what he said. Kill them for power? Asuma asked. Sasuke gritted his teeth and remained silent. He is talking about the Mangekyou Sharingan, Kakashi answered. It is a common belief that you have to kill your best friend to get it. Kakashi raised his headband, and Asuma watched in shock as a Sharingan eye twisted and formed a new design. It was gone a moment later, and Kakashi covered his eye again. Why you? Sasuke stuttered out. Kakashi narrowed his visible eye. My teammate threw herself in front of my attack, in order to protect Konoha. Despite that I have this eye and its power. Do you see me using it? No, Sasuke answered the question. Exactly, you do not need to have the Mangekyou Sharingan in order to be strong. Besides, bearing the eye brings a terrible price the more you use it. Using the eye makes you go blind. Is there a way to stop the blindness? Kurone asked. Kakashi hummed. Well. He paused, and Sasuke and Kurone leaned in closer. Asuma rolled his eyes. I don't know. Kakashi finished with a nice smile. Why are you like this, sensei? Sasuke questioned, shaking his head. Mama, just relax, Sasuke, Kakashi said with a chuckle, earning a glare from the young teen. Kakashi straightened up, turning serious. Sasuke, don't keep pushing your teammates just because you think you will be tempted to kill them. Naruto will stop you if you try to harm him, or Sakura anyway. Sasuke gritted his teeth. How is the dobe so strong? Well, he has been training for years. He just never bothered to do well in the academy since the stuff was so easy. Why didn't he graduate early then? He didn't want to, though. I don't know why. Well, go back to the others, Kakashi said, waving Sasuke away to the other students. The Chunin exam starts in 2 days. Do you think one day is enough of a break? Asuma questioned, looking at the other two. It will have to be, Kirini answered. Alright, let's tell the kids to take tomorrow off then. No training allowed, Kakashi said. The three walked over to the students who were waiting to be fully dismissed. We have went over your individual assessments. As you know, the Chunin exams start in 2 days. So tomorrow, you will have the day off. No training allowed. Rest up and prepare yourselves, Asuma commanded. The students nodded. Good. You're dismissed. The rookie 9 all left quickly, splitting up and heading in all different directions.